Raw number 245, February 2nd, 1998. A famous show. Very famous show.
When are these shows going to get good?
I didn't say it was a good show.
Listen, I'd rather talk about dumb dogs than this fucking Raw.
Well, let's get through it. It may take 5 minutes.
No.
DX opened the show with a special report. They were spoofing President Clinton and his various troubles. They addressed the complaints various cable networks levied against DX. They said they would only say hell, damn, and ass from 9 to 10. We will not use the words, and then they were bleeped over and over again. And then they explained the words they would use from 10 to 11. They were bleeped several times. One of the DX videos has the uncensored version of this skit.
Yep.
And it's one of the rare examples where the uncensored version is actually funnier than the bleep version.
Right. Unnecessary censorship.
How could it not be?
Well,
they
usually,
swear.
Yes, and they're very good at it.
Yeah. Automatically
This
funny.
is the key. It's not the material, it's the artist.
Yeah.
It's not the medium, it's the artist. That's what
Well
we're
aware of this.
Yeah. Anyway, we made a Monica Lewinsky joke and it was on with the show. It came out in Uncle Sam costumes, DX did, down to the ring. Had red, white, and blue balloons falling from the roof, just like they do at political conventions, Michael Cole told us, in case we were stupid.
Well, they were the cabinet.
They were a much better cabinet than...
They were a better
version.
cabinet than the cabinet. That's true.
So they get in there, and they both have mics, and one of them immediately conks out, and so they're passing a mic back and forth, and this actually made the whole thing work better, because they are pros. They explain that Austin Tyson is a fight everyone wants to see, got the people to chant, let them fight. Then Austin came out, he got in their faces, said he appreciates the promotion, but he could beat the crap out of Tyson if he wanted, but he had won the Royal Rumble, which means Shawn's ass belongs to him. Shawn did not back down. He's getting right back in Austin's face. Austin's barking at him, promises one way or another he's taking Shawn's belt. They both remove their shirts, because that's what you're doing in a fight, I guess. Jim Ross was sure to point out, nobody's making jokes, this is personal. Because when it's time to plug the WrestleMania main event, it's not comedy.
Yeah, for all the stupid people in professional wrestling over the last 19 years that could never figure this out, DX opened the show with comedy, and they swore, and they talked about sausages a couple of weeks ago, and they had a barbecue, but there was a time and a place for comedy. And when it was time to promote the main event of WrestleMania with Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin, there were no sausages, there was no comedy, they got in each other's faces, and they both threatened to beat the other guy's ass. Why is it so hard to figure out?
I don't know.
Why do people watch wrestling and see all of the wrong things?
So, Austin left, flipped off China, everyone cheered, that was it. It was very awesome. It may have been the last good thing on this show.
Oh, yeah.
Chainsaw Charlie versus Cactus Jack.
No. First, we had the setup for this.
I was about to get to that.
Well,
But go ahead.
you know, I know this is a very memorable show, and people have fond memories of it, and maybe I'm just a dick here, but...
Well,
this show... You have two guys who are a team who randomly decide, let's get in a fight.
not to mention two guys that off camera are playing a completely different character than their on-screen roles when this is quote unquote sport.
They get in a fight. Mm-hmm. They set this up by being buddies.
Right. They wanted to show each
So we
other.
have two fucking friends who decide for no reason that they're going to get in a fight and hit each other with shit. This leads to an injury angle, which takes up a half hour of the show, maybe more, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour. And the whole goddamn thing ends with them coming back.
That is correct.
Am I missing anything?
That all happened. So it's all garbage wrestling. It's ladder shots, it's chairs, it's tables, whatever else they got. In the middle of all this, Terry Funk gets a small package on the ramp and they roll all the way back down to the ring. Jack is hitting Charlie in the head with a chair, but he can't bring himself to finish Charlie off, so he passes in the chair so Charlie can hit him.
It was a can.
Whatever.
Well, there's a big difference.
There actually
but
is. You're right.
There were a large number of unprotected shots to the head in this match.
That's true. In between, there was all kinds of silly stuff like putting a trash can on Chainsaw Charlie and then trying to pile drive him with the can on. It did not work. So it's mostly just a very bad brawl, and they go up on stage, and Jack throws Charlie in the dumpster, and climbs up on the big screen and jumps off with an elbow into the dumpster, causing hundreds of styrofoam peanuts to fly into the air.
It was a flume. It poofed up into the air.
It did.
And it was comical, and I loved it.
The New Age Outlaws then ran out. They slammed the lid on the dumpster shut. They tied the lid closed. Fans were chanting for the LOD, which they did all night long and never got them. The Outlaws pondered their options for a while. They shoved the dumpster off the side of the stage. "There's people in there," Jim Ross screamed.
Hey, do not undersell how awesome Jim Ross was in selling this as something legitimate. Look what this fucking guy had to work with. A stupid storyline and a stupid match that was going to lead to a stupid angle and a stupid payoff. But he sold it like it was real. He was unbelievable. He was outraged when he should have been outraged. He was devastated when he should have been devastated. He was solemn when he should have been solemn. And meanwhile, Michael Cole's just a machine telling us what happened.
Well, here's what happened, as they showed every replay they had from every angle throughout the show. As mentioned, this dumpster was filled with styrofoam peanuts. On first viewing, it looked like the dumpster fell about 5 feet off the stage. Later viewing showed it did fall about 5 feet onto tables, which broke and cushioned the fall the rest of the way down.
And then they showed an aerial shot when they open up the dumpster.
Yeah.
And there's two dudes. It was like you were shipping them somewhere.
Yeah, they were lying in styrofoam. It looked cozy. Like, at the time, I know this is a huge story, and maybe it's... I know, but well, by the end of the show, I knew they were fine, but this all seemed so hokey. This is B-movie stuff here, man. Virtually the entire roster comes out to make sure they're still alive. Sunny is weeping openly.
Real tears.
Yeah, she could in fact get tears here. She, of course, had worked with both men in SMW and ECW. She's just sobbing. Vince McMahon is out there. He's having an animated conversation with the Outlaws, who look a little remorseful, like they had not meant to let this get out of hand. This went on for a long, long time. They strapped Terry to a board and loaded him into an ambulance, as Ross explained what the term "getting over" meant. How the Outlaws were desperate to get themselves over. Flash Funk tries to get at the Outlaws. The Headbangers joined in. There's a huge melee. Half the crew is trying to kill them. Half is trying to keep peace. Ken Shamrock, thankfully, was a peacemaker. Let's see. We got to talk about bad guy wrestlers and fan favorites. They all have families to feed. The ambulance leaves, and Gerald Briscoe and Sergeant Slaughter immediately turn their attention to making sure Sonny was okay.
And then Jim Ross very quietly said, "This is what hardcore gets you. It gets you in an ambulance." He's right.
He's not wrong about that. So this all took, like you say, about 20 minutes. A commercial break in the middle, then a commercial break after the ambulance left. Then we go to the Outlaws backstage. They're cutting a reluctant promo. Like I say, they're admitting they may have gone too far. But before they can get too far, DX interrupts, scolds them, tells them to suck it up. If you hadn't done it to them, they'd have done it to you. This is all about ratings, and Sean addresses Jim Ross in the camera. You raise the bar every week, tell us to take risks and get ratings. This is your fault. And the show always goes on. That's the other thing they added.
This was the first of about 18 examples during this show of people talking about ratings.
There's a lot of that, too.
Who gives a shit about ratings when you're a viewer?
Well, obviously, nobody.
Nobody.
For the story they were telling, it's an important point. Because it does explain why Road Dogg and Billy Gunn would do something so heinous.
No, it doesn't.
Because if they get ratings, then the company will pay them more.
They didn't push the dumpster off the side of the stage to get
Since when was that in their contract?
They said it's all. They said the company had been pushing them to get bigger ratings, do whatever it took to take more risks and get bigger ratings. Sean said that's what the company had been telling the Outlaws and the whole crew to do.
That's why this company sucks.
That's fair, but it is.
Shouldn't it be like you want to get opportunities, you want to get championship matches, you want to end up in big programs because you win championships and you headline shows and you make more money?
Sure.
It's worked for UFC.
I'm so sick of ratings talk, and it was the first time on this show.
Yeah. Billy Gunn versus Owen Hart.
By the way, this is hour number 2.
Yes.
That thing took forever. They let it breathe. It seemed like a big thing, which was cool, but then they beat the dead horse.
Yeah. So Billy Gunn versus Owen Hart. Road Dogg came out doing a half-hearted version of their spiel and then almost immediately quit. Hearing Jerry Lawler talking about wrestlers trying to outdo each other and get more and more dangerous every week, all while Owen Hart was in the ring, was very uncomfortable. Match was nothing. Owen hooked a sharpshooter, Road Dogg attacked for the DQ. And then DX come out. As noted, they all beat up Owen. They were going to throw him off the stage when officials ran out to stop it. And DX laid down the law to the Outlaws, ironically. And they all left together.
I think somebody missed their cue. They were swinging Owen like they were going to throw him off the stage, and then they stopped, put him down, and then readjusted, picked him back up, and started swinging him again. And then the officials came out.
This all happened.
Let's talk about the stupidity of taking a grown human being and having two guys hold his legs, two guys hold his hands, and swing the guy legitimately on the edge of a fucking stage with cement underneath.
Yeah. It was stupid.
You know, he could have accidentally let go.
Or lost their balance, and they all could have tumbled to their
or slipped.
demise.
So far we've seen a hardcore match where two dudes almost killed each other. A spot where a dumpster, even though they were heavily padded, got thrown off the stage onto the cement. And now a tease of throwing a dude over the edge of a stage where they really almost threw him over the edge of a stage on the cement.
Yeah.
This show sucks. This whole era sucked.
It doesn't get better.
No. We got a report from Michael Cole at the hospital. He had literally nothing to say. Headbangers versus Mark Mero and Goldust, or apparently, I guess by the end it was a singles match of some sort. I don't know.
God-awful television.
Goldust in the Marilyn Manson costume was out there. He was supposed to be in Mero's corner and freaking out the Headbangers, but based on their gimmick, shouldn't they have thought he was cool or at least funny? Let's see. We had a horrible match.
Are you sure this wasn't a tag match?
No.
No, it was Headbanger Mosh versus Mark Mero. That was the build.
Yeah. So, Mero won with a low blow and a cradle. Horrendous television from start to finish, I wrote. Then we had a very abrupt edit and jump backstage for a split screen promo with Team NWA on one side and Bradshaw on the other. Wyndham said he was man enough to fight Bradshaw right now, and he had a better partner in Jeff Jarrett than Bradshaw ever was. So Bradshaw vowed to find any partner he needed to get a match, and he throws a tantrum, he's throwing furniture, and then Rock and Roll Express over on Team NWA laughing and making fun of his tantrum. They're the best. Best part of the show.
Wyndham is now taken his dye job and now has bleached it blonde.
He bleached it blonde and shaved, and he looks 10 years younger.
Yeah.
So he only looks 50.
Sure. Tiger Ali Singh video package.
This guy.
This was so hilariously terrible. Is there anything good on this show?
The very first segment. The very first skit they did. That was it.
They're in the middle of a wrestling war with WCW, and their big idea is Tiger Ali Singh.
If you don't know Tiger Ali Singh, it is exactly the same gimmick as Alberto Del Rio, except he's Indian instead of Mexican. But he's rich and an international...
One guy was extremely talented, and the other guy was Tiger Ali Singh.
That is the second difference. You're right. He's rich already, and he's a big star. He doesn't need to wrestle, but he wants to prove he's a great fighter before conquering Hollywood. Farouk versus Chains.
Oh. I hate this show.
The finish of this match was classic.
In what way was it classic? They had a count out.
The way it was... Go ahead, Vinny. I'm sorry.
I've forgotten. Hang on.
No, they had a count out.
They had
a horrible match.
Oh, that's right. I remember now. There was a phone call in the middle here from Michael Cole at the hospital. It says, Vince is here. Terry Funk has regained consciousness, but Mick Foley is still slipping in and out. So Farouk takes like the entire thing. At one point, he's beating Chains' ass. He stops to yell at fans so Chains can hit an electric chair drop, lift him up on his shoulders and drop him backwards. Farouk takes this bump and gets up and clotheslines him and keeps beating his ass. Kama accidentally trips Farouk. Farouk leaves the ring to argue with him. As he was leaving the ring for the finish, Chains tried to schoolboy him. I can't even fathom this. Farouk and the Nation have a 5-way argument.
Why can't you fathom that Chains and Farouk fucked everything up and had a horrible match?
Well, I don't know. Because to fuck up the finish, all he had to do was not touch him.
Right.
The finish is, I'll leave and get counted out. And this was too much for Chains to handle.
It's Chains.
Clearly. Anyway, the Nation all has the big argument and they all get counted out. I guess Farouk gets counted out.
It's goddamn horrible.
Farouk leaves by
Fucking
himself.
horrible.
He calls the nation up to stand by him. He points specifically where he wants each man to stand, and they all give the salute. They go to a clip from Shotgun or something where Kurgan was putting the claw on Michael Modest.
It's very, very important that we cut to a clip from Shotgun of Kurgan putting a claw on Michael Modest. Because there's only 2 hours.
Jeff Jarrett and Barry Windham versus Bradshaw and Flash Funk.
This was the best thing on the show,
As a wrestling match.
match-wise.
It was?
Yeah, there was Slim Pickens, Brian.
Yeah. Cactus and Terry Funk.
No, it was worse than this.
That's impossible.
I was worse than this.
No.
So the whole point of this match was the Rock and Roll Express, who are still on the show every week and not wrestling, which makes me more angry all the time. They yanked Flash off the apron immediately and threw him into the guardrail to take him out. So it's Bradshaw in a 2-on-1 handicap match with the Rock and Roll Express and Jim Cornette at ringside. So doing this match, and Wyndham won't tag in until Bradshaw's already, cut off. And eventually they try a double backdrop. Bradshaw boots Wyndham, lariats Jarrett, pins him. That is the first pinfall or submission victory for anyone on this show 90 minutes in.
Brian is rubbing his temples right now.
The show is so fucking hideous. And I want to add, by the way, looking at the individuals involved here, Bradshaw and Barry Windham were 37. Ricky Morton was 41. Robert Gibson was 39.
What?
I'm actually surprised Bradshaw was that old.
I'm surprised at every single one of those numbers that I just said right there. And Robert's real first name is Ruben. Top that fact.
Huh. Excellent pie.
Excuse me?
I will praise one thing on this show.
Sandwich?
Besides the DX skit at the beginning. And that is that Barry Windham could run the ropes. Am I wrong?
Breaking news here in 1998.
Dude,
Barry Windham, good at wrestling.
he could run the ropes. I didn't say he was good at wrestling. I said he could run the ropes.
They recap the dumpster angle. And Jerry Lawler had the most creative idea on the show. You gotta understand, the lid's on top of the dumpster. The dumpster was pushed off the ramp, fell not even all the way on its side. It leaned over, went through the tables, and then came down more or less right side up. Lawler says, imagine if that lid had flown open. They could have fallen out of the dumpster, then would have fallen on them. This would have taken an act of God that has never been seen on camera.
My life is too short to be watching this every week. This has got to improve.
A frantic Cole called in.
Got to improve.
Said all hell had broken loose at the hospital. Security and cops had been called to the scene, and then his cell phone signal mysteriously cut out. Brian,
Wink Collins?
of
Yes?
the three of us, you spend the greatest part of your career in the pro wrestling field. Who in the hell is Wink Collins?
He was a fella who had apparently done some promoting.
Wink Collins was in the ring. He looked like what's his name from the Men's Warehouse?
Actually, I did some investigation on Wink Collins. Remember when they did those silly Nacho Man and the Huckster videos?
Sure.
From 96? He was the host of that segment.
Wow.
Oh.
That's all I could come up with.
Dude. Well, he was here.
He's out here in his bathrobe. He looks about 4.5 feet tall. He's plugging that WrestleMania sold out, but you can still get the pay-per-view. Thank God Kane came out to kill him. Wink stands there. Kane and Paul Bearer are coming out, and all Kane and Paul Bearer ever do when they come out is kill people. Wink Collins stands in the ring in his bathrobe waiting to die. Kane grabs him by the throat. He is interrupted by Vader's music. He lets Wink go. Vader cuts a promo. He shouts, he growls, he spits. He says Kane's ass is his at No Way Out. He vows to put Kane's fire out and grabs an extinguisher. People really, really loved Kane getting sprayed with the fire extinguisher in the face. And this happened, and Kane bailed. And that was it.
Can we add that Vader had the worst sounding microphone in the history of audio?
It was very muffled. It sounded like he was calling in from another arena.
And then our main event in a 1-minute match.
Actually, 32 seconds.
Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Road Dogg went to a disqualification when Billy Gunn ran in.
There was one pinfall in the entire show.
They fucking have a 32-second match. Some shithead runs in.
Billy Gunn.
They're all beating up on Steve Austin. DX comes out to beat on the guy. And you know what? I was not even mad because DX gave Austin a good beating. And they're beating on him, and Shawn is holding the belt in his face, and Shawn's being the greatest heel, and Austin's staring at the guy with fury, and the crowd's going nuts, and I'm like, finally, something of value on this fucking show. Finally! And then out come, in their robes and catheters, Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie.
Quite true.
Do you know how much of my life I devoted to that fucking angle an hour earlier? And they came out at the end of the goddamn show.
They're fine.
In fucking hospital gimmicks. Mm-hmm. None the worse for wear. What the fuck was this?
They're just fine now.
How did we like this?
They put I don't know.
I don't know if I liked this at the time. I will not say that I did. I need to go back and look. Because this was terrible television. This was horrible. It sucked. I have no idea why people look back fondly on the Monday Night Wars. This is horrible.
Now to cap this story off.
Raw was so much better this past Monday. And I didn't even think it was a very good show.
To cap this off, Vinny and I got here just a couple minutes early, and Brian was finishing up the show, and I saw him slam down his iPad, and then he threw it.
I did. I threw it on the ground over there.
Threw it on the ground.
So, everyone just kind of kills time for a bit at the end there. The show ends, and then we get Extra Attitude, which is just 30 seconds of Steve Austin cutting a generic promo and popping a balloon. Why did they bother?
If people don't stop bitching about Raw in 2016, I'm going to be really mad. Now, if you want to say the show's too goddamn long, that's a fact. Fontaine did the ratings charts, and Raw is down 46% in viewership since they went to 3 hours.
Oops.
Yeah, that's fucking terrible. But as a show, the worst Raw nowadays is 1,000 times better than these old Raws. This is horrible, hideous television. Vince has not lost his touch. He's better than ever. Because it was fucking hideous here. Well, yeah.
Retro Raw 246, February 9th, 1998. It was Freddie Blassie's 80th birthday, so they dressed Sonny up like Marilyn Monroe and had her sing happy birthday for him. Steve Austin came out for a promo. Very, very, very popular in Evansville, Indiana. Talked about last week, said you don't come on TV and rub a belt in Steve Austin's face. Now I'm going to get myself a piece of Shawn Michaels' ass at the pay-per-view on Sunday, but I also want to fight tonight, and I'm calling Shawn out right now. So DX appears on the screen, and they're laughing at him. They brag about pulling Austin's strings. And Austin says, you should come fight me because I have your belt. Shawn says, no you don't, my belt's right here. And he reaches over and takes the black little black bag that the belt goes in, and he puts it on his lap. And then he reaches in and he pulls out the replica toy belt. And he cannot tell the difference between the 15 pounds of gold.
Of course not. That's why wrestling's awesome.
On the WWF title and this half-pound foam toy.
And you know what the best part of it was? Shawn didn't make a joke of this.
No.
He flipped his fucking lid that this guy stole his belt. He was furious. And to be fair, it was the Winged Eagle, so he should have been mad.
That's right.
I'd wanted to kill this guy too.
So Austin showed he had the real belt in his own bag, and Shawn could come try and take it back, and DX threw a tantrum.
What a show-long storyline this ended up being. They played hide and seek with Chyna and the Bariquas looking for the belt, and Austin hid for 2 hours, and then at the end of the show, Chyna stole the belt back.
Yep.
Way to go, guys. A great storyline.
Road Warriors versus Barry Windham and Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, my God. I'm remembering this show now.
Once again, Rock and Roll Express are there and not wrestling.
Was it me or was Windham hideous in this match? I thought he was horrible. Now, granted, he was working with Hawk.
Yeah. There wasn't much to this match to be hideous in. It wasn't very good, but it was short.
Hey, they got the heat on Animals, so...
I was I don't know if annoyed is the right word, but Jim Ross is saying there's internal pressure on the Warriors. Insider comments.
Yeah, what does that even mean? Have better matches?
Yeah, that's
you know
what
what? If you want to have better matches, don't have Hawk in the ring, babyface in peril. I've been talking about that for months.
That was what he was implying.
Well, they fixed it. Animal was the babyface in peril. Hawk made a comeback, and lo and behold, it was a better match.
So, the Rock and Rolls jumped Hawk outside. They dropped his knees across the stairs. Jarrett put him in the figure 4 in the ring, and Bradshaw attacked for the DQ. That was that. DX was backstage putting a secret plan together to get the belt back. And the secret plan was, China, go get it. Quebecer Pierre versus Henry Godwin.
Oh, my God.
In a mean guy
God
match.
help me. Is there anything but tag teams on this fucking show?
And most of them suck.
Yeah. Like, I made fun of those geeks on SmackDown, but the reality is they had a really good match. They're just portrayed as geeks.
All of those teams are better than the Godwins.
This was a period where they tried to make all these teams like they were stars, but they were really all geeks. This was not a very good match. Pierre tried, did a big fucking dive, land on his head. And then the finish. I couldn't even believe it. I'm just going to read what happened. Jacques hit Henry with a bucket. Phineas hit Pierre with a bucket. Godwins win.
That's fact. There was more to it a little bit.
No, there wasn't. That's exactly what happened.
That's what happened. Yeah.
Let's not sugarcoat this. That was their idea.
That was the idea.
You hit that guy, and then you hit that guy. That's it.
Yeah.
This was bad.
The finish was bad. Match was okay. China interrupted Los Barricos poker game. I believe it was the first time she ever spoke on camera, at least more than a word or two, mainly because she speaks Spanish. And she hired them to help take out Steve Austin.
That was a comedy. She never speaks. She finally speaks, and it's another language.
Yeah. Brian Christopher and Pantera versus Taka Michinoku and Aguila.
This was a good match. This was the first match. This was kind of like 205 Live. Where
Actually, I was going to say this was like, maybe you said this about one of the 205 Live matches too, but I was going to say it was like the tag match where it was sloppy as hell at the beginning, but it turned around by the end.
No, what I'm saying is 205 Live, like the match, the multi-man match we saw tonight was like what 205 Live should be. Bunch of high flying and dives, and I don't want to see small dudes doing heavyweight style. I don't want to see that. I want it to be something different. And the match on 205 Live tonight was one of the few matches where the guys are really out there going crazy and doing all this wacky stuff, and it was great. This was a WWE light heavyweight match that was similar to a cruiserweight match on Nitro. They did a bunch of dives, they did flips, they did unique, crazy things. It was great.
So they go to commercial, they come back, and everyone's just gone. Wrestlers are gone. The announcers are moving on. What happened? Did you see this?
No, I saw the whole match.
Okay, there was maybe they fixed it.
Did you not see the match?
No, I saw the match, but in the middle of the match they went to a commercial, and when it came back from commercial, the announcers were talking about something totally different, and no one had any idea what it was. There was no reference that there had been a match. Now it occurs to me, I watched this Monday night, and Tuesday afternoon you sent me a text asking if it was working, and I said, well, it was working last night, but then I checked and it said, no, I'm getting error message. And then I checked like an hour and the video was back. Maybe they fixed it.
Well, I contacted them and told them it was broken.
Let's see.
All I know is during the time that it was broken, I got a link to this show. Mm-hmm. I did not watch this on the network because the network was broken. Or this show was broken on the network.
Yeah.
All the other shows worked. So I saw the whole match, and everything just went on as it went on.
Okay.
Unless I was just not paying attention.
I don't know the finish.
Well, the finish was Taka makes a big comeback. Christopher gets a gimmick. It's knocked out of his hand. Pantera puts the gimmick in his mask, and then comes off the top with a headbutt on Taka, which somehow hurts Taka, but not himself.
Of course.
And there's a goddamn gimmick stuck to his head.
It's
and
wrestling.
A headbutt on something.
Because wrestling is awesome.
And so now it is Taka versus Pantera for the belt at the show.
Okay, yeah, I saw none of that. Maybe that's what they were fixing when it was out of commission. So let's see. Kane and Paul Bearer came out for a promo. I like when Paul Bearer said Vader had used a fire extinguisher to try to take out Kane's good eye. He said Vader likes to say, "It's time, it's time." He gave Kane a clock with Vader's face on it, and Kane used magic powers to set the clock on fire. People booed this because it was stupid. And Bearer said, "Oh, by the way..."
Paul was a great promo.
Sure. And Paul said, "Oh, by the way, Undertaker is also not coming back." Ken Shamrock and Chains
My God.
versus Farouk and The Rock.
Oh, hideous.
Rock cut a wacky promo about cloning. Said nobody in Evansville deserved to be cloned. Shamrock, of course, was the MMA fighter doing things like leg lariats and hurricane ranas. Never not funny to me.
What's notable about this match is this weekend, Cody Rhodes hit Donovan Dijak with a chair shot. Everybody freaked out about this horrible chair shot. Right to the face, they said. Now, I've seen a blurry clip of it. I've not seen an HD yet. But I'm pretty sure that Cody hit the guy in the chest and shoulder and did not, in fact, hit him in the face. Now, with that said, The Rock grabbed a chair during this match, and he swung it like a baseball bat, and he did not hit Ken Shamrock in the shoulder and the chest. He hit this dude right in the face. That was nuts. What in the hell was this guy thinking? What he was thinking was, he didn't worry about chair shots, because later he would go to give Mankind about 12 of them as hard as he could in the famous I Quit match they had. This was brutality.
Yeah. So Shamrock snapped afterwards, took out everyone in the nation, took out the refs, took out Chains, until the Harrises and Ahmed Johnson tackled him to the ground and got him to calm down.
Wasn't even to the head, it was to the face.
Like to the nose.
Dude.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that. And it's to Ken Shamrock, by the way. Low on the list of guys you'd want to piss off.
Well, dude's nuts. He probably said, whack me in the face with that chair like it's,
Yes, there's also that
like
too.
it's a baseball
That's
bat.
a strong point. We had clips of the Mania main eventers during their press conference in New York. First thing I laughed at was, as DX was walking the stage, one reporter there, "You've never seen a man so blatantly ogle Chyna." He liked her a lot and was smiling about it. So Vince McMahon explained Mike Tyson would be the enforcer in somewhat of a special referee capacity.
Vince is so weird. Now you know why everybody says such weird shit all the time. It's because Vince says weird shit.
Yes.
And then they had a bunch of reporters asking stupid questions, and it suddenly dawned on me, he hired them. They asked the dumbest questions.
We had Tyson talking about how he liked Bruno Sammartino and the Valiant Brothers.
Mumbling his way through a promo.
It's true. As you may have heard, Mike Tyson's a bad speaker.
Sean mumbling his way through a promo.
Austin was good.
Austin was good.
There were lots of sports guys there asking Tyson questions, and Sean and Austin trying to interrupt and get their names out there. And eventually they get into a
Some
shoving...
fucking reporter goes, Tyson, what if you have to punch somebody, but your fists aren't taped?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? That was some fucker's real question that he asked Mike Tyson during this press conference.
So eventually Sean and Austin got into a shoving match, and Tyson, of course, was between them, shoving them back, and that was the photo op they all wanted. Everyone snapped their pictures. Then they showed the footage of this press conference being shown on ESPN and Entertainment Tonight and wherever else they played it, and everyone who played it was laughing about it, how stupid it was.
That's what they do.
But it was press, so they showed it.
It's just like they showed the footage of the people on the Today Show not knowing AJ Styles' name and calling him that guy from Atlanta repeatedly.
That's awesome. Chyna and Los Barriquas were patrolling the hallways in search of Austin. They stormed into the men's locker room. There was a tiny guy in there taking a shower. Chyna shoved him to the side, kicked in the doors of the stalls, no Steve, and they left.
Ah!
Didn't you say these shows were fine?
No, last week was way worse.
I see.
Now,
Better than last week. All right.
Steve Blackman faced, I believe it was Recon.
Recon, yes.
I didn't care enough to go back. So here's what happened. They had an idea. These guys are going to have a match. They're going to put Jackal on some sort of fucking platform. and they're going to drop him from the ceiling, a floating platform, and he's going to do a speech like he's Jesus coming down from the heavens. All right, cool. It's a fine idea. Whatever the fuck you want to do. I don't care. The problem was, this goddamn thing slowly starts descending. It's like the Lord is creating the heavens and the earth. It takes 8 fucking days for this thing to come down from the heavens. Then, when it gets down there, Jackal just keeps going. And he keeps preaching. And he's still talking. And he keeps preaching. And I need Craig here to tell me how long this thing actually went, because it felt like they went for 25 minutes while this fucking guy was out there preaching. It just went on forever.
So, you know, we talk about all the time how stupid it is when, like, music plays and guys get distracted. Steve Blackman and Recon were not distracted.
No!
I guess in all their matches, guys come out and speak from the ceiling.
They just kept having their fucking match, and no one's paying attention.
Ain't nobody cared.
Nobody's paying attention. They're watching God come down from the ceiling, and it just kept going.
Yeah. Eventually, Blackman won with a wacky submission hold. This cut Jackal off mid-sentence. He was slack-jawed, very disappointed. Gets in the ring. He cuts a promo about Recon working in Memphis and eating tuna fish out of a can. Tore in a sniper too. Finally, Recon apologized for losing, but Jackal slapped him and turned his back, and Recon and Sniper left, and Jackal laughed. This is not the best Colt I ever saw.
No, on the cult scale, this is low.
Did we mention Steve Blackman's glow-in-the-dark Eskrima sticks? Naomi's glow-in-the-dark entrance is better.
He's feeling the glow.
I guess so. So remember last week...
Oh my god, I'm getting more angry with each passing moment here.
You recall the last week, the entire show was built around the New Age Outlaws. Here, no mention of them until about a half hour's left in the show. They come out, and they say, last week you pushed a dumpster off the stage and it was fun. So we want to do it again. They bring out a dumpster, and they talk about the dumpster like it's a prize and the price is right. And they push the dumpster off the stage. It goes through tables. There's crash test dummies in there, just like Cactus Jack and Charlie. Jokes about doing mouth to mouth. It goes on forever. It died a horrible death.
Gee, I wonder why. Because the fucking guys returned last week.
Yes.
You know, it might have been effective if the guys hadn't returned at the end of last week's show. The fact that they returned and these idiots are out here redoing the skit like it means something, when we all saw with our own eyes that it meant nothing, because the guys came back. It gets worse later.
China and the Bariquas split up, and Austin managed to lock the Bariquas in a room with a chain. In a match that actually pains me to say out loud. Goldust versus Thrasher.
I still like this show better than last week, but it is really terrible.
Think about this for a second, everyone. The idea of this match here. We'll put Goldust versus Thrasher on TV, and as a result of this match, fans will be excited to see the Headbangers versus Mero and Goldust on pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. That was their plan.
Yep. Let's talk about the most important thing of note in this match. The finish involves a schoolboy. They're having this match. Sable comes out and yells at Luna. Sable slaps Goldust. And all Goldust has to do is stumble back. And the Headbanger's going to be right there to cradle him, to schoolboy him, and get the pin. Would anybody out there listening like to guess what this fucking Headbanger was unable to do?
Was it a schoolboy?
It was a schoolboy. Do you know why it's called a schoolboy?
Because boys in school can do it.
Because when you're on the playground, one guy gets on his knees behind somebody, the other guy shoves the guy, and he falls backwards, and he's schoolboyed. Children do this. They've done it for thousands of years.
Yes.
This fucking Headbanger could not do a schoolboy. He missed! He was out of position. You know what the position is? Get behind the motherfucker. He couldn't even do that.
No.
I don't know where he was. I don't know what he was doing. Fucking Sable's right there. Her tits are out to I mean, how can you miss her? She's fucking right there. You know she's gonna slap the guy, and he's gonna fall back. All you gotta do is get behind him and fucking schoolboy him. But he couldn't do it.
Believe it or not.
I'm sure they're nice guys. I hear it all the time when I bury the headbangers. Oh man, I just worked with them all. They're great guys. You know what? I know a lot of great guys that are bad at their jobs. That's okay. I'm sure they're wonderful guys. I'm sure they're nice fellas. They're fucking terrible in the ring. How can you fuck up a schoolboy?
That is not, I think, the worst thing the headbangers did in this match.
Impossible.
Now, it's the worst physical thing they did. But it was a mistake. People make mistakes. I know this of all people. I've made tons of mistakes in my life. They tried to do something and they screwed it up. So let's review the personalities in ringside here. Thrasher is on one side of the ring. His partner, Mosh, is in his corner. The other side of the ring, you have Goldust, Luna, Marrow, and Sable. And of these 6 human beings, the only one the crowd likes is Sable. So when Marrow and Goldust and Luna are mean to her, they hate Marrow and Goldust and Luna. So the headbangers, I don't know what they're supposed to be most of the time, but in this match, it's very clear they're the baby faces. So the first thing they do is Thrasher throws Goldust into the corner and then takes the ref so Mosh can cheat and choke from the outside. It's worse, Brian, than the Miss Schoolboy, because the Miss Schoolboy was a physical error. This was their plan. This went like they wanted it to. They're dumb.
I vote for the schoolboy.
Anyway, the crowd only liked Sable. She slapped Luna at the end. DX came out for a promo. He plugged the 8-man tag that weekend at the pay-per-view. It's the new...
Oh, I got the card. I'll read it in a minute.
All right. Well, the main event is DX and the New Age Outlaws versus Austin, Owen Hart, Cactus Jack, and Chainsaw Charlie. So they plugged that match. Sean is rambling on for a while about getting his belt back. Finally, Austin comes out swinging the belt like a weapon and clearing the ring. And the Outlaws come out, and Austin is able to fight off 5 people. DX, China, and the Outlaws. He's able to fight them off. How? By swinging the belt like a weapon and using it to defend himself. He's fighting off 5 human beings, 5 professional athletes with this thing. Place is going apeshit. Then we hear a chainsaw start. So Austin says, I'm going to take my weapon, I'm going to set it down over here in the corner, and I'm going to fight with my bare hands. What a dummy. So Chainsaw Charlie cuts through the ring, and he and Foley come out, and Owen comes to the crowd, and China says, oh, look, there's a belt. And she walks over, grabs it, and walks back. And the heels now said, well, we're done. We got what we came for. They leave. There's a little bit of brawling with the Outlaws, but that's the end of it. And Sean and Austin trash talk each other from 30 yards away, and this was a 2-hour show that felt like a 3-hour show.
You know, this show sucked. I still think last week was worse, but can you imagine how much better this would have been if it was their first appearance since being sent off the edge in that dumpster?
That would have been better.
You know, it'd been a hell of a lot better.
That would have been a better reaction.
But you know what? They came back last week, so it was not better. Is this that hard? Let's look at this fucking card for No Way Out. Are you ready to drop $34.95?
Let me run and get my cable bill.
We have the Headbangers versus Goldust and Mark Marrow.
Will not watch.
That match went 13 minutes. We're going through all the pay-per-views, by the way. Luckily, it'll be well over a decade. 15 years, I think, before we have to watch that one. 13 years.
I can only imagine the drugs that will be available at that time.
Taka Michinoku versus Pantera.
Probably fine.
That at least went 10 minutes. The Godwins versus the Quebecers. 11 minutes. Justin Bradshaw versus Jeff Jarrett. 8 minutes. Ken Shamrock, Ahmed Johnson, Chains, Skull, and 8-Ball versus, I can't even read this with a straight face. Ken Shamrock, Ahmed Johnson, Chains, Skull, and 8-Ball in a fucking match. In what is billed, by the way, I swear to God, as a war of attrition match. You know Vince wrote that one. Against The Rock, Farouk, D'Lo, and Mark Henry. 13 minutes and 44 seconds of attrition.
Do you know what attrition means? Essentially, it means the winning side is the one with the most men left standing. Shouldn't a war of attrition match be an elimination match?
Shouldn't it be a Survivor Series match?
Yes.
Kane versus Vader. I'm sorry. Kane versus Vader. 10 minutes. And in the main event, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Owen Hart, Cactus Jack, and Chainsaw Charlie against Hunter, Savio, Billy, Gunn, and Road Dogg.
Go read that second name one more time, please.
Savio Vega.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People bought it expecting to see Shawn Michaels and got Savio Vega instead.
They needed another man.
Now, I understand Shawn's was hurt,
Yeah.
but they should have known that and booked something else.
Bait and switch, baby.
Yeah.
Let's start with Raw, Craig.
Yes, sir. Raw, February 21st, 1998. It's from Dallas, Texas. This was actually taped on a Saturday.
What?
Apparently, there was a dog show going on Monday night.
That's right. It is
So
the
they
dog
moved
show.
it to Saturday. Right off the bat, Ross announces that there's a rumor circulating that DX is planning to sue Stone Cold Steve Austin for his actions towards China at No Way Out.
Sue.
Yeah. Leads us to our first match, the Legion of Doom versus the Quebecers. Excuse me. Legion of Doom was in control early. Animal got sent to the floor. And Pierre did a cannonball off the apron. I don't know exactly what happened, but Animal ended up landing on his side. And then all 300 pounds of Pierre just absolutely crushed the man. It's absolutely brutal.
Let's talk about the big issue here. After he gets wiped out, the referee is tending to Animal outside, and the Outlaws wheel a goddamn dumpster down the ramp, and they kidnap one of the performers and throw him into the dumpster.
That was Hawk.
The referee doesn't see any of this.
No.
Clearly a FedEx driver. It's the only way you could be this big a fuck up. And then you would think that one guy's in a dumpster, it'd be a 2-on-1 situation. The amazing French Canadians would beat the Legion of Doom.
Right.
But no, they go to all that trouble, and then Animal chases them to the back, and it's a count out.
That is correct.
Great kickoff to the show here.
They aired a montage of highlights of China basically beating up dudes. And Michael Cole asked the question, he wants to know why a woman like China, who has been quite physical in the WWF for the past year, would want to sue Stone Cold Steve Austin for quote-unquote emotional distress. Says we'll find out more later.
Listen, you can be big and mean and intimidating and still be a softie at heart, Craig.
Oh, I know.
Thank you.
Oh, this match. Ken Shamrock.
Okay, hold on a minute.
Okay.
I know what you're going to say, but let's be honest here. This sniper fella is not too bad.
He's better than Recon.
He's pretty decent, but he's in a shit stable, and so it drags him down, and you watch it, and you assume he sucks. But he's really not that bad. This match was okay.
Well, you enjoyed it a little bit.
And I was in a really bad mood when I watched it, so it must have been great.
Jackal, of course, came in for commentary. If there was a channel changer on the network, I would have turned the channel. Was not a fan of this. Ken Shamrock ended up tapping out Mr. Sniper with the ankle lock in 5 minutes and 17 seconds. After this, the Jackal got into the ring and started browbeating Sniper. He slapped him across the face, turned his back, daring Sniper to do something. Recon was holding him back, and Sniper then shoved Jackal anyways and walked out.
Jackal was amused by all of this.
He's always amused. He's the puppet master. They had a replay of Sable shoving down Mark Marrow at the No Way Out pay-per-view. They said they were going to interview these two lovers later.
On Valentine's Day, basically.
Basically. Before that interview, we hear from Recon, who is in back with Sniper. Recon is trying to settle him down, and Sniper asks him, is there a problem in this stable? Which Recon responded, no, there's no problem. And that was it. Jerry Lawler handled the interview with Sable and Mark Marrow. For the first time in Jerry Lawler's career, he didn't want to hear from the pretty blonde girl. He wanted to talk to Mark Marrow. Mero explains that when he was out with his reconstructive knee surgery, he saw Sable running around here modeling Stone Cold Steve Austin t-shirts, and he did not appreciate that a bit. He said he was the one that won the matches, and he was the one that made the money, and not her.
Well, it's clearly not true. She's a model, modeling merchandise. This guy's got it all wrong.
You could take one look at both of these people and see who makes the money in the family.
Some geek comes down with flowers for Sable, and he wants to know if they're for him.
Right.
This is great storytelling.
You think so?
He's a classic dumb shit. And she says, they're for me, and it's really nice to know someone is thinking about me.
Lawler brings up the shove at the pay-per-view. Mark Mero said he tripped, and that was all.
God damn, this was so boring until the guy with the flowers came out. They were bantering about shit that no one could possibly care about.
Yeah.
A Mark Mero match at a pay-per-view where he tripped?
Well, he was shoved, but he suggested that he tripped.
Let's talk about Cornette.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Cornette's ranting and raving. Can't believe the fans disrespect the NWA. He says, we're going to teach the fans. They're going to like what we want them to like, and they're going to like it with a smile on their face. Thought, man, Vince wrote this one. I swear to God, he announced that the Rock and Roll Express is finally going to wrestle on Raw in a tag team match against the Headbangers. Now, let's get the good out of the way first, because I'm a positive guy. This was the best Headbangers match in a long time.
Before you get into the match, Jim Cornette appointed NWA referee Tommy Young to this match.
So they're out there, and aside from almost killing Ricky Morton
with a flapjack,
I think one guy knew it was a flapjack, but the other guy, I won't mention which dumb shit headbanger this is, but he thought it must be a backdrop.
Well, you got a 50-50 shot, so it really doesn't matter.
Oh my God, they could have killed this poor guy. So they hit their finish, which is mistimed, on Ricky, and then one headbanger throws Robert over the top rope to the outside, but it's the NWA, baby. That's an over-the-top rope DQ. The Rock and Rolls retain their titles.
This was a creative finish, and I liked the finish despite the headbangers being in the match.
Really? I thought, you know what? This was a creative finish, but goddamn, does every finish have to be bad on this show?
Apparently. More to come.
But hey, a better headbanger match than usual.
It's true, because the Rock and Roll Express were there. Jim Ross welcomed Stone Cold Steve Austin wearing the largest fanny pack these eyes have ever laid eyes on. Came into the ring. Austin actually took a minute to introduce himself to new fans that might have just heard about the Mike Tyson incident.
Well, you know, they did exist.
He said China found out firsthand what he'd been saying all along, and don't mess with Stone Cold. Austin doesn't know if she's stupid or she needs hearing aids, but she was lucky that he was in such a good mood. He said he wasn't mad about Shawn Michaels not being there tonight. He knows he's getting ready for WrestleMania 14, and he wants Shawn at his best.
Short and to the point. That's pretty good.
He says as far as Mike Tyson, if he sticks his nose in Austin's business, he'll take that gold tooth out of your mouth and I'll make a necklace, a bracelet, or whatever out of it. And then he said...
Dude, how big is his tooth? What is he talking about? Clearly he was going to gold plate something.
Sure. And then he said the S is on. That's not exactly what he says, but they were bleeped.
Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett had a match. They send the NWA members to the back. I had a pretty good match.
It's okay.
The notable thing about this is Owen starts making a comeback every single week for at least a month now, maybe more. I see Owen Hart working as a babyface. And every single week I am shocked when I remember that he's a babyface.
Mm-hmm.
This babyface turn for Owen Hart has got to be one of the worst ever.
It's very bad.
Every time I see the guy, I think he's a heel until suddenly he makes a comeback and I realize, hey, he's actually a babyface.
Is it his face? Is it his mannerism? I don't know what it is.
It's that he was a heel forever and he works exactly the same. He hasn't changed one thing. Every interview, he cuts his promos the exact same. I don't know what it is, but I don't buy for 1 second ever that he's a babyface until he starts making his comeback. And then Cornette interfered for the DQ. Even a Raw that is better is still a bad show, at least in terms of finishes.
Yes, Owen hit an enziguri and then locked on the sharpshooter, and that's when Corny hit the ring and hit him with the racket.
I will say that Cornette sold his leg from the sharpshooter more here than when he fell off the scaffold and Big Bubba forgot to catch him.
He was tapping like crazy for Owen Hart's sharpshooter. They aired a video package talking about Michael P.S. Hayes, complete with world-class footage.
And then they randomly brought this guy out to do ring announcing.
And they brought him out to Bad Street USA, and they'd just done a video package on Michael P.S. Hayes, and they welcomed to the ring Doc Hendricks.
Dude, Doc Hendricks comes out in a t-shirt that he cut the sleeves off of.
Yeah.
And it's tucked in, and he's got his jeans hiked up so high.
Yeah.
And he's out of shape, and he's dancing. I was like,
Is that what that was?
Oh my God.
I wasn't sure.
I was so embarrassed for this poor guy. Then Kane came out, and he tried to hit him with his boot, and Kane no-sold it, choke-slammed him, and tombstoned him.
Right.
Cool. Wow.
This was not Doc's best outfit or performance. Okay, this match was pretty fun. Brian Christopher and Purita Morgan versus Taka Michinoku and Aguila.
You know what I noticed during this match? This light heavyweight division is exactly like the cruiserweight division today. You've got former main roster stars, smaller guys from other companies. They all have to work the exact same style as the heavyweights. They can do a little bit of flying, but only a little bit. And they largely have to do the exact same heavyweight style with a shine, cut off, heat, comeback, near falls, finish. It's exactly the same.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It looks like all of a sudden in the middle of a 1980 or 1998 Raw, I'm watching 205 Live. That's not a positive for 205 Live.
You know what wouldn't happen on 205 Live? Brian Christopher strutting his way to the ring, looking into the camera and hollering, "I went out and got me a Mexican."
That probably wouldn't happen.
Some nice flying from Aguila. Morgan retreated to the floor with Christopher. Aguila wiped them both out with a beautiful corkscrew plancha. This guy's high spots are very good. It's the, as they say, the music between the notes just aren't there.
That's for sure.
The finish saw, let me see. Christopher hit a missile drop kick to the back of Taka's head. He followed it up with a release German. He hit a backbreaker, tagged in Morgan. Tried to give Taka a powerbomb, but Aguila kicked Christopher to the outside. Christopher then went to the floor. Taka hit the Michinoku driver on Morgan for the pin. Lawler thinks maybe next week he should pick a better partner. Possibly
man, what
himself.
a storyline for this cruiserweight division. Match was still pretty good.
It was okay. Yeah.
This Raw was way better than last week. And then The Rock came out for a festival of friendship.
Basically, yes.
That's exactly what this was. It was a festival of friendship that was on its way to the exact same finish, but then Steve Blackman was the one who came out to interfere.
Now, this festival included gifts for Kama, D'Lo, and Mark Henry. They all received, and I quote, $15,000 solid gold Rolex watches. And Farouk opened up his quote-unquote present. It was a framed poster of The Rock. He was unhappy.
He was not impressed with this poster.
Farouk then hits a Dominator quickly on Steve Blackman.
Because that's the match.
That's the match.
Farouk versus Steve Blackman.
He was arguing with Rock on the outside, who was holding this poster that was now in two pieces. And as he's arguing with The Rock and trying to snatch the poster back, Steve Blackman rolled up Farouk and pinned him clean as a sheet.
Great match, man oh man. Farouk looked like a complete goddamn idiot, since he had the win with the Dominator, but he got distracted by a poster, and then was rolled up and pinned.
This went 1 minute and 33 seconds.
And I guess we're supposed to feel sympathetic for Farouk, even though it was his own fault that he lost, after he clearly had the win, but he was distracted by a poster.
Yeah. He then had Michael Cole. He was on the outside of the Nation of Domination's locker room. There was arguing going on in there. Lots of shouting. D'Lo slipped out from behind the door, and he said, "Everything's fine. There's nothing but love in that room."
Let's analyze this more. So, Farouk is supposed to be the sympathetic character, but he gets distracted by a poster and pinned. That's an idiot. That's not a sympathetic character.
Correct.
Rock, on the other hand, I mean, sure, Rock got the guy a poster of himself, but Rock's full of himself, and so really that's the best gift that he could give everybody. And he gave the other guys $15,000 Rolex watches. There's 3 of them. That's $45,000.
That's correct.
That guy's supposed to be the bad guy? Sounds like a great friend to me. He spent a lot more on his festival of friendship than Jericho did. For sure. Wasn't $45,000 in that ring.
There was $7,000 for the statue. Yeah, you're right. He spent more.
Positive. Unless he got Michelangelo to paint that picture of Jericho and Owens, which I'm pretty sure he didn't do.
That was tremendous, though. And then our main event, Mark Marrow.
Excuse me. Did you say the main event of Raw?
That's what I said. Brian.
Okay. I was just making sure that the main event is really Mark Marrow and Goldust against Chainsaw and Cactus.
That was the main event of Raw. Goldust this week is back to being Goldust. And Luna this week dressed up like Marlena. She didn't look as good as Marlena. Newsflash. Lawler said that Goldust next week will present the American Dream to the world.
Wow.
Mark Marrow did not come out with Sable. Ross began to tell us that Cactus and Chainsaw want to do more quote-unquote wrestling than brawling, and in the ring, they delivered a double drop toe hold to Marrow. Marrow made a comeback and hit a DDT to get the heat. Tags in Goldust. As he comes in the ring, he does Dusty's flip, flop, and fly on Charlie. This was Sable's cue to come down to the ring. She was carrying a bouquet of flowers, and she laid them down on the opposite corner. Marrow, of course, doesn't want her there, so he's arguing with her. Luna goes over, grabs the flowers, and starts beating them against the ring post, causing Sable to lose her mind. She starts chasing Luna around the ring. While the ladies were fighting and all the distraction is going on, Cactus jumps back in the ring and hits Goldust in the head with a chair for the KO shot, leaving Charlie to get the 3 count.
You know what? It was such a nice and easy chair shot. I mean, you shouldn't whack anybody in the head with a chair.
Right.
But if you're going to whack him in the head with a chair, Foley tried to protect the guy the best that he could.
Sure.
This guy who in his career, everybody hit him in the head as hard as they possibly could. And when it was his turn to swing a chair, he was so nice about it.
Most of the time, yes.
Can't believe this business. I'm sickened. Foley delivered such a gentle chair shot to this man's head. And how was he repaid years later? 12 of the hardest chair shots ever in the history of mankind at the Royal Rumble by The Rock.
Afterwards in the melee, Mark was holding back Sable. 2 refs were there as well. Goldust was holding back Luna. And at some point, Sable's breasts made an appearance on the show as the camera zoomed back. And you could, you could tell that the girls were out.
I wrote catfight and titties everywhere as the show ends. It's the only thing that cheered up my day.
And no little blur lines on the screen, but I see you were watching on your iPad, so what are you going to do?
I'll watch on the big screen later.
Okay.
Let's start at the beginning. Retro Raw 248, February 23rd, 1998. Now, I missed last week. They did a Raw Saturday special. Mm-hmm. Is that the show you guys reviewed? Or
it was just, they had it on Saturday because of the dog show.
Right.
That's the show.
That is the show that you reviewed. Okay. So, this had me very confused for a while. We were talking about 2 nights ago. I thought they were shooting main event angles on shotgun or something. I don't know what's going on. So, the angle was they put the Warriors in a box, and they got counted out, so the Warriors were mad. has led to the New Age Outlaws versus the Legion of Doom. By their standards, by what the Legion of Doom especially have been doing on the past several months in the show, it was a pretty good TV match.
It was not bad. But it was not bad after Animal got the hot tag, because the middle segment where Hawk, my favorite, Hawk is the babyface in peril, sitting there selling. It's like when they put Enzo in the ring and he's making a hot tag. It's like, why would you do that? Enzo should be selling. Hawk should be making a hot tag because it's impossible to get sympathy on the Hawk. You just can't. And he's in there every single week selling.
Can you get sympathy on the Animal?
Hawk's gimmick is that he doesn't sell.
Oh, that's true.
And so you're putting him in the ring to sell for 10 minutes?
That's your point.
Very bad.
So they hit the Doomsday device, but the ref was distracted getting Hawk out of the ring. So Billy hit a belt shot and Road Dogg pinned Animal.
We portrayed it as if Hawk was an idiot for taking too long to get out of the ring.
Mm-hmm. And then we had breakup angle number 1.
That's right.
As Hawk and Animal got into a shoving match and then a full-on brawl. Geeks separated them. They did several pull aparts. And the replays after the break. Then the announcers bemoaned this sad, sad state of affairs.
Oh, yeah. I was bemoaning it because they get into a brawl and it got way less of a reaction than you would expect. Because the fans don't want to see the Road Warriors break up.
No.
They're the Road Warriors.
Yes.
And I'm sure Vince Russo thought, you know what, these damn Road Warriors, they're old. They're just out there every week doing matches. Vince, let's break them up.
Not to mention,
Vince said, God damn, let's try it. And of course, it was a bad idea.
it was a horrible idea. There's a tag team breakup on the other show that has been teased and built up to for months.
Right.
So we totally understand it. The gimmick of this breakup was the team has been losing for a while, and now they're fighting. So you as a fan have no reason to care about either man.
No, who's supposed to be the babyface here?
Don't know.
I mean, obviously Hawk,
Why?
because he's always the babyface in peril. So clearly, they're just going to continue on with that.
Leave it to the Vinces to break up the legendary Road Warriors. Seriously.
Yeah. Ken Shamrock versus Jeff Jarrett. Shamrock looked like a total killing machine early, which I guess he was. The best part is he goes to suplex Jarrett into the ring, and Cornette trips him. So Jarrett falls on top. But A, Shamrock kicks out anyway, even with Cornette holding his foot down, and B, he then drags Cornette into the ring to kill him. And Jarrett cut him off. There was no Cornette murder. Ref gets bumped. Cornette goes to hit Shamrock with a tennis racket. He hits Jarrett instead. Shamrock hooks the ankle lock. Ref recovers and stops the match because Jarrett is, in fact, unconscious. Shamrock's music played for a long time, and I never realized this, but towards the end there it has a cowbell solo.
Hey, let's talk about the bigger issue here, that Ken Shamrock gets the win via submission, and then he starts going after the ref in fury and anger.
I don't get it.
The hell was he mad about?
I don't know.
And then Jim Ross says, a tactical error. This was on the part of, I guess, Cornette. But I bring it up because in the first match, when the Road Warriors had their finish, Jim Ross also said it was a tactical error. So there are a lot of tactical errors here on this show. This is, in fact, the second teased breakup so far here on the show.
Well, I don't think it's teased. They were interviewing Jarrett as he walked up the ramp, and he outright said, I think it's time Cornette and I go our separate ways.
And that's right.
So that is 2 breakups in 2 segments.
2 matches, 2 breakups, 2 tactical errors.
I love it when Jimmy Cornette hits the guy with the tennis racket. Of course, it's just a handle with a cover. And it's very clear that it's that because the top part of the round portion of the racket folds over in half. Now, either he swung this racket with such force that it broke the racket, or this thing is a gimmick.
I think he swung it with such force that he broke the racket on Jeff Jarrett's head. That's my theory.
It was very hot in the building. It melted like butter. They have those lights, you know. Jerry Lawler tried to interview Animal. Animal screamed he didn't have a brother, and Hawk ran in and said, I don't know anything about brothers, and they brawled again. DOA and Truth Commission.
Dude, they're trying so hard to lose this war.
How did they survive?
I mean,
DOA and Truth Commission?
do they actually go on the Monday Night Wars documentary on WWE Network and talk about how we actively tried to lose the wrestling war all through 97 and early 98 by constantly putting the DOA and the Truth Commission on television in wrestling matches. Not only do they have a hideous match, Kurgan is impossibly bad. He is so bad that Braun Strowman, who has, in fact, he has improved, but let's not fool ourselves. He was clumsy, except for his kip up, and he got blown up, and they blew spots in a boring match with the Big Show on Monday until the very end. He looked like The Undertaker in his prime next to Kurgan. Kurgan beats up the Sniper, I think. May have been a Recon. It doesn't matter. Recon begs him to stop. The Jackal laughs. This is after the match because we had, in fact...
May I just...
No! This was the third breakup angle in a row. 3!
Yes.
We've had 3 segments on the show, and all 3 segments have had a breakup angle. How?
I don't know.
Did they break up?
Well, it sure looked that way to me.
Didn't get along.
They all left together.
One guy dragged another guy out by his head. Okay, that
They
seems
all
like a
left
breakup
together.
to me. Yeah, he dragged his body out. That's not leaving together.
The claw hold is to put a man out, and he was dragging him up the ramp, and the other guy was going, "Stop! Oh God!" Ah! Ineffective claw hold.
I was going to read my notes here from the claw hold to the end of this segment. First of all, let's not gloss over this. This match was awful. This brawl where they're all falling all over each other before Kurgan tagged in is a horrible match. So he went to the claw hold. Then I wrote, the horrible brawl continued after the match. Then Jackal yelled at Recon and Sniper for God knows what reason. He slapped Sniper, who went after him, so Kurgan went after Sniper. Recon was upset. Jackal slapped Recon. Recon was mad, then apologized. This all went on for a while, and thank God they left. Truth Commission is truly one of the worst factions of all time.
Fucking the Truth Commission? What about DOA?
They're not very good.
What
either.
about any
At
of
least
the
they're
factions
friends.
on this show? Oh, really? One of them just left and went to WCW.
Yeah, but he didn't
I
fight.
join, I might add, a much better
They
faction.
fight about leaving?
There's no breakup. He just
We
left.
don't know that. It just
I'm
was
out of
on
here.
television.
I'm out of here, prick.
This was horrible. It's terrible. And keep in mind, they won and broke up.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even like earlier where, well, the first match, the team lost and broke up. Then the second match, the guy lost and broke up. This time, they won and they still broke up. This show sucks. Okay, the Attitude Era sucks, everybody. I don't care what you remember from when you were a child. It sucks. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch it. Hopefully it gets better here soon.
DX did a promo from Sean's house in San Antonio. It's Sean, Hunter, China, and a mystery blonde who Sean smooches at one point.
It's not Whisper.
God.
She was working.
I know.
It's funny, there's so many DX segments that I just vividly remember, and then there's segments like this that I just have no memory of.
Right.
I can
would
only
you?
presume that, yeah, some of them were good, and some of them were boring.
This wasn't...
This was a DX segment where Hunter rambled on about ratings, Nielsen's, and must-see TV. Who in the hell could possibly care? Then Sean guaranteed he'd wrestle at Mania.
They noted Austin had stunned China, and she was fine. And said next week they're going to Cleveland. Owen Hart, Steve Austin, and Mike Tyson would be there, and they're going to take them all out in one shot. And they promised an X-rated WrestleMania.
Can't wait. This show should have been X-rated.
It
If
was-
not for anything involving pornography.
It was obscene.
It's an obscene program that nobody should watch.
Taka Michinoku versus Barry Windham.
Okay. I actually have something positive to say.
Okay.
But it's not about this show. Like a couple of weeks ago, it was last week, I was talking about this light heavyweight division is exactly like the current cruiserweight division.
Oh, no.
Exactly. It is absolutely identical. You could just switch the talent and there would be no difference between the 1998 light heavyweight division and today's cruiserweight division. I was wrong. Vince actually learned one thing in 19 years. And that is, if you're going to have a light heavyweight division or a cruiserweight division, do not mix them with the heavyweights. Not one time, not a single time, except the Royal Rumble. That was the one exception. When Jack Gallagher got into the Royal Rumble and jumped off with his umbrella or whatever. That's the one exception. But the cruiserweights never wrestle the heavyweights, ever. This match right here, Taka Michinoku and Barry Windham. What in the world was the idea outside of, I'm sick of this division and let's kill it tonight on this show? Because that's what they did here.
They killed it twice.
They killed this division absolutely dead.
I would say it was just one long murder.
Oh, okay.
Because they were going on and on about how this is not a fair fight. Taka's barely 200 pounds soaking wet.
With multiple assailants, they killed
Yes.
And keep in mind, this was back when they pumped up everybody's weight. I mean, Taka was probably 160 pounds.
Sure.
He literally was probably half the weight of Barry Windham
Very close.
in this match. And they have a goofy match. Kane shows up, destroys Taka. Like, seriously, if there's a light heavyweight match next week, I will be stunned. Because there's no point. It's dead.
They killed him start to finish here. The only thing I can say good about this is that the performances of Taka Michinoku and Barry Windham were great. They both looked great. Now, one of them looked greater because he was positioned
in mass.
It was, well, yes, but the whole thing was set up. I actually thought, because it would be Barry beat him and beat him and beat him. Taka hit one flip, and then Barry beat him and beat him and beat him. And I thought Taka was going to get like a fluke roll up or something. Silly me. I should have known better. No, Barry killed him, hit all his moves, made the cover, was about to win when an even bigger guy came out to do more murder. And out came Kane, and they killed Taka.
Like, seriously, what in the world were they thinking with this segment?
To ensure no one ever cared about Taka Michinoku ever again.
I mean, did they
It had
think
to be suicide.
We
It had to be
gotta-
sabotage.
we got to turn this Kane into a bully by beating up this small man? They could have done that without this stupid match. There was no point to this match.
By the way, not only did they talk about how Taka was very small and puny and weak, Cornette was also to make sure he was stupid. Because he was illiterate and couldn't speak English or read a contract.
Right.
That's how they got in a match with Barry Windham.
That's right.
Yeah, they buried him start to finish. And then Bearer cuts a promo calling out Steve Austin to come face Kane next week. Michael Cole tried to interview the Outlaws as they left the building.
My God. Road Dogg is now doing the gimmick where he is filming. They
Camcordering everything.
stole Six's gimmick.
He also had the DX t-shirt on.
Right.
And Road Dogg is a good promo, and he's a pretty good worker. He actually totally outshone Brad Armstrong on this particular evening here.
Yeah.
He totally lost his train of thought during this promo. He starts rambling and just messing everything up, and then he just admits, well, I started drinking a while ago.
I'm half drunk.
I'm half drunk. And then Charlie and Cactus show up.
Right.
Chainsaw Charlie is wielding a chainsaw, and Cactus Jack is wielding a bat, I believe. Mm-hmm. They're destroying the car.
Right.
Cactus is smashing in the windows. Chainsaw Charlie is trying to cut the car in half with a chainsaw.
Yes. He's not taking the glass. He's going after the frame.
So they're about to kill these two men who are in the car. And as God is my witness, Billy Gunn opens the door. There's a dude there with a chainsaw. Billy kicks him in the stomach and knocks him down. And then they drive away.
With the smashed windshield. How he...
It was Road Dogg, but everything
Forget
else he
that.
said was right.
Dude, he beat up a man with a chainsaw
Basically,
who
yes.
was trying to kill him while he was locked in a car.
Yeah.
Well, they killed Cactus and Chainsaw here.
Really, they just killed the chainsaw.
Oh my
Well,
God.
it doesn't have a blade on it anyway.
Another
Craig, you're ruining the
terrible
show.
segment.
It was bad because like there were sparks flying and like he wasn't anywhere near the car with the blade.
Yeah, but Craig, he used to come down and swing the chainsaw in the air and there'd be sparks. It's just a bad chainsaw.
I see.
It needs to be recalled.
Or oiled.
This was stupid.
This was so unbelievably
Everything
stupid.
about Chainsaw Charlie was stupid. They promised us we would get Goldust's most outrageous character yet, and it was Goldust doing an impression of his dad. Am I the only one who thought this impression was shockingly bad?
It was horrible.
You know how they say you end up much like your father?
Yeah.
Fail.
Clearly not. So we had clips of Dusty and Sapphire, and then Goldust came out in the polka dots with a big padded belly.
Don't forget the gig marks.
The gig marks on his forehead and arm were actually great.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Nice touch.
That was the best part of the whole
They
thing.
were so great that when I first saw him, I was like, God, I'd forgotten that Dustin did so much gigging early in his career. And then I went, wait a second. That's a fake. They put noodles on his arms.
Yes. So It's a dumb thing to do anyway. Like, people are going to hate him because he's being Dusty Rhodes, whatever. But Jim Ross was sure to let us all know we spoke to Dusty on the phone today, and he had a good laugh about this.
Oh, yeah, you called Dusty and WCW and said, we're going to make fun of you tonight. What do you think? Very skeptical.
Lawler said, I forget what he said, but he used the term internet geeks. Mm-hmm. Quote,
oh, really?
Internet geeks.
Yes, he did.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, speaking of internet geeks, that would be Vince Russo. This was such a Vince Russo segment. Because
Yes.
not only did they do Dustin dressed as Dusty doing his spots with Bradshaw, but the story is Dustin wanted Bradshaw to sell for him. Mm-hmm. He wanted him to, quote, take bumps for him.
Yeah.
And he wanted him to let Bradshaw beat him up. Or he wanted
Let me
Bradshaw
beat
to
you
let
up, he
him
said.
beat, what the fuck ever. It's so
He
stupid.
said all of this over the house mic,
Yes.
cutting a promo. You should be bumping all over the place. Bradshaw refused. The only thing that was good about this, they did some comedy early.
Please tell me what was good about this.
The exact finish where
Okay, that was good.
Dustin gets beat up and beat up and beat up. Then he ducks like one clothesline. He does the flip-flop and fly spot, but Bradshaw no-sells everything. And then when it's time for the big elbow, Bradshaw just clotheslines him out of his boots and pins him.
That was a good finish.
That was a good finish.
I'll give him that.
That may have been the best part of the show.
One subtle thing. There was a couple times where Bradshaw kicked him in the head, and Dustin took his forefinger and thumb and ran it across his head like he was giggling. This happened numerous times.
That's funny.
Craig, you're an internet geek. That's what
Thank
they're
you.
referring to here, enjoying this horrible segment here.
How dare I find some joy in this world?
Dude, on this show, how dare you?
I tried.
Cole tried to interview Goldust, who said, Stardust cannot compare to Goldust. I'm hanging these tights up.
Dude, no one's paying us to lie to him.
Does that sound like another breakup angle, by the way? He broke up with
Broke up with Dusty?
Yes.
May as well have been.
Kevin Kelly tried to interview Hawk backstage. Hawk had nothing to say. Steve Blackman versus The Rock.
Another breakup angle.
Well, before we get to that, first off, was it me or did Rock throw the worst punches in wrestling history on this show? Have I just never noticed, or were they particularly bad this week?
I was watching this thinking, here in 1998, Rock and Blackman are obviously at the opposite end of the charisma spectrum. But as far as actual wrestling goes, Blackman may be better.
On this day, he was better.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the most notable thing about this match. So Blackman is like a ninja. And he comes out, and he's got nunchucks. And he spins them around, and he does a big
They're glow in the dark.
thing. Yeah,
This is where Naomi got her gimmick.
exactly.
She stole it from Steve Blackman.
So there's interference from the nation and everything like that. And finally, the ref is distracted, and D'Lo grabs the nunchucks. And Rock says, give me them nunchucks. And D'Lo says, all right. And he mimes, I'm going to throw them to you. He doesn't throw them to him yet. He just mimes, I'm going to throw them to you. Get ready. So Rock gets like so close they could just hand him over. But they've got to throw him. So D'Lo throws them high into the air. And of course they go over the Rock's head. And Steve Blackman grabs his nunchucks. These are a weapon.
Yeah.
Now, I always thought that you grab one end
Sure.
and you swing them and you strike a man with the other end. Am I
Yes.
wrong about this?
You pummel them with the other end.
I have seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles many times. That's how it works.
Okay, Blackman grabs the nunchucks. He has his weapon. It's not like Rock got them and didn't know what to do with them.
Right.
Blackman's got his own weapon that he does a kata with at the beginning of every match. He proceeds to place both handles together, and then he leaps high in the air and does a double sledge with the nunchucks to the Rock's back.
Innovative.
That was the stupidest thing I've seen in my whole life watching wrestling. Steve Blackman's utilization of his own weapon. He jumped in the air and did a double sledge to the Rock. Now, far be it from me to critique the guy. It worked. He pinned the Rock. Steve Blackman has a win over The Rock.
Yes. Now, did you mention there was about 14 interference spots before this, and Blackman could not win, despite all this distraction that Farouk was doing. So the nation's all mad. They're all yelling at each other, and D'Lo puts the heat puts the heat square on Farouk, saying, "He told me to do it." That's a quote. So Rock demands Farouk get in the ring. And Rock explains, "You distracted the ref, I got hit, and I got pinned 1, 2, 3. And Farouk listens to him, hears him out, and says, "You got pinned 1, 2, 3. And he snaps his fingers and says, "Shit." And he leaves.
I thought he said damn.
He did.
Did he?
Yes.
I was positive he said shit.
No.
Well, it's the same thing.
Either way, the point is
He mocked the man.
Yes, and then he just walked away.
Rock got all big-eyed,
Yes.
all googly-eyed.
And everyone left with Farouk leaving the Rock alone in the ring.
So, in fact, we did get our 4th dissension angle on the same show.
More to come.
Kevin Kelly interviewed Luna backstage. She explained she had not gone out with Goldust earlier because she was waiting to rearrange Sable's face. If you've ever seen a Luna promo, she was very creepy and growly and scary, and it must have hurt to talk like this.
Gargles with razor blades.
It was silly,
She was the chick from Ghostbusters after Zool got a hold of her.
basically. Yeah. They showed Kane beating Vader in No Way Out, and then hitting him with a wrench after the match so Vader could go get surgery. The Rock and Roll Express were in the ring to defend the NWA Tag Team titles.
NWA North American Tag Team
NWA North
titles.
American NWA North American Tag Team titles. So the NWA champions defending the NWA titles in an NWA match with NWA rules thought we should have an NWA ref.
This was last week, Vince.
That's what happened here.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
they've done this.
They
for
did this
years.
last
Well,
week.
there's an angle in the show that I missed where an NWA ref called for the DQ for the over the rope rule.
Tommy Young.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Tommy Young, fist bump. Because Tommy Young is awesome. Tommy Young was awesome. So, here, Sarge comes out and says, "No, you're not going to ref this match." Even though, as noted, it's all NWA stuff anyway. It's just happening in a WWF ring. So this is bullshit. This is complete bullshit.
Well, he did that because Tommy Young has been favoring the NWA wrestlers. So he got a biased WWE referee.
On this match, on the clip I saw that they showed to set that up, the ref made the right call. The Headbangers were stupid and broke the NWA rules and deserved to lose.
Well, they are stupid. I won't deny that.
So we got the Rock and Roll Express versus the Headbangers.
Let's talk about the bigger story. The Headbangers are getting a shot at the NWA North American Tag Team titles.
Yeah.
Again. Because they got one last week as well.
Which they lost because they're stupid.
Right.
So, as I expected, the Rock and Roll Express are a tremendous heel tag team. Bumbling around like fools, teasing, fighting, then hugging, and they both get dropped by the Headbangers, and Cornette gets dropped by the Headbangers.
You know what's funny about this that people will be furious about, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's true? Do you know who the Rock and Roll Express reminded me of in this match?
Oh no.
They were the Young Bucks. It's actually vice versa. If you ever watch a Young Bucks match, aside from all the flipping and everything like that, their gimmick is they always screw up and hit each other.
I see.
They screw up and they super kick each other. They screw up and bonk into each other. They screw up and dive onto each other. They do it in every single match. That's all the Rock and Roll Express here did as a heel tag team. They constantly bonked into each other, punched each other, screwed up, and sure enough, for the 5th time on this show, we had dissension between a team and a teased breakup.
Well, they got back together. They're working over whichever Headbanger this was. And the setup for the hot tag would be, we'll miss the double dropkick. We'll go to throw a double dropkick, but we won't hit you. All you have to do is get out of the way. This was too much for Headbanger A to pull off convincingly.
He couldn't just grab the ropes and hold on.
Couldn't step back.
No.
No, the Express jumped, and he just took a bump, and I wasn't sure at first if this is supposed to be a missed dropkick or not.
It's like he stumbled back.
Do you realize?
It's like he sucked.
Do you realize?
Well, there's that.
His job here was to not be kicked, and he fucked it up.
They
It's
may
the
be
worst
worse.
team I've ever seen.
They may be worse than Pietrov.
They're the worst tag team I've ever seen. He's still the worst guy. Anyway, Gibson got thrown over the top rope. The WWF referee refused to call for the DQ. So Cornette whacked a Headbanger with his tennis racket, but the Headbanger fell on top of Morton, pinned him to win the match and the titles. The Headbangers pinned the Rock and Roll Express. This is a bigger travesty than Steve Blackman pinning
And
the
they're
Rock.
now the NWA North American Tag Team Champions. The Headbangers.
What a win, by the way. They were unconscious at the point of victory.
Yeah, that's their gimmick. They're just...
Their gimmick is that they're the worst tag team of all time, but then they actually are the worst tag team of all time, too.
So it's the best gimmick in wrestling history.
The most appropriate.
I see.
There is no better candidate to be the worst tag team of all time than the worst tag team of all time. They announced that Pete Rose would be at WrestleMania. Yeah. Didn't say what he'd be doing.
Getting tombstoned.
Things was implied. We had the Steve Austin Road to WrestleMania video package. Several minutes of Austin cursing and stomping and stunnering people. And then DX tied him in the ropes and humiliated him on Raw. Then he went back in time to show his neck injury in the comeback. Then he cut a promo saying he was going to put people on the list. Now you know where Chris Jericho got that idea. Our main event was Mark Merrow versus Owen Hart. Merrow came out with Sable, but then ordered her to the back.
You know, I mention it every week, but Owen Hart, super nice human being, the worst babyface. He's horrible as a babyface.
He's up there.
He's just a guy that should have been a career heel. Some guys are just better heels than babyfaces, and vice versa. And he was a horrible babyface.
I like when Jim Ross, the babyface announcer, said with sincerity, he's the most competitive European champion of all time.
Oh, yeah?
Let's review. Shawn wins the inaugural title, never defends it, drops in a joke match to Hunter, who never defends it, and then is stripped of the title and it's given to Owen, who had to pin Goldust for it.
Well, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
It is true. Just like Kevin Owens was the longest reigning Universal Champion
Still
of
is.
all time.
Yeah. So, Sable comes back out after all this.
Thank God.
In the middle of this match, this is the alleged main event, and it's a nothing match.
A total nothing match.
And Merrow turns to the ref, looks him in the eye, the ref looks him in the eye back, and Merrow shoves him down. Right?
Okay.
Merrow was winning on him.
Now listen. I was watching this, and it was so boring. And I zoned out. And the next thing I know, Owen Hart has Mark Merrow in the sharpshooter. The referee looks at them, and he rings a bell. And I thought, I can't believe that, number one, first off, I can't believe that we got a clean finish here in the main event.
Oh,
and
but
number
you're wrong.
two, that it was such a boring main event, but you know what? At least we got a clean finish. Then I was like, wait. Because they ring the bell and they announce it. It was a DQ. And I thought, what? I go back, and as you noted, Merrow shoved the ref. Owen puts Merrow in the sharpshooter. Merrow has no escape. He's in the middle of the ring. He's trapped. The referee rings the bell, disqualifies Mark Merrow. And I was like,
Why?
you couldn't just have this fucking guy submit.
It's not like Merrow was the champion and had to retain via DQ.
No.
Owen was the champion. He was winning either way. What does it matter if he wins by DQ or submission?
This show was so bad.
And it's not like Merrow saved face. He was in the sharpshooter.
He was trapped anyway.
He couldn't get out is the whole point.
God.
Like, just give someone on this show a win clean. Please. They couldn't do it.
I gotta admit, I did not realize the horrendous nature of this show until just now.
Oh, I realized it watching it.
I was
couldn't
numb
even-
watching it.
I could not believe my eyes as I watched this show, and I thought back, this is the Attitude Era that everybody raves about. The show is beyond horrible. And a big pull apart.
Luna went after Sable. Sable went after Luna. Goldust and Merrow were among the geeks trying to separate them. Goldust in this melee put his hands on Sable. Merrow thinks to himself, hey, she's my property, so he lays a beating on Goldust. And that's how it ended.
So mind-blowing because as we get into Nitro here, I liked the first hour or so of Nitro. And then there was a string of one nothing happening, boring match after another. And I always watch Nitro first. So as I'm watching these matches and I'm struggling with consciousness, trying desperately not to fall asleep, I'm thinking, how in the world is everyone not switching to Raw right now? Like, how? Then I watch Raw, and it's like each side is actively trying to lose this war.
Wheel of Fortune must have been awesome this time. Their ratings just went through the roof.
I mean, all people talk about is the Monday Night War and both sides trying to beat the other side. I'm watching this Monday Night War thing and both sides are actively trying to lose. And it's like, who can fuck it up the most and end up losing this war?
And they did.
The answer was WCW.
Yes.
That's exactly what happened. Let's not fool ourselves. The WWE story is, well, we were just better. No, they were way worse. That's why you won. Because this is not good right now. Let's talk about this Nitro.
DX came out for a promo. Hunter challenged Owen Hart to a European title match at Mania. Shawn made fun of Mike Tyson for bringing a posse to Gun Arena in Cleveland, so he is Phil Jackson and Tyson is LeBron James. He promised to make Tyson an offer he couldn't refuse, which everyone should have known what that meant right away. He vowed to beat Austin, crack his skull like an egg. Austin came out to rebut, but as soon as he hit the ring, the lights went out and Kane's music hit. DX disappeared. Paul Bearer warned Austin Kane would send him straight to hell tonight. Then they just left. Lights came back. Austin was there. He took Michael Cole's headset. He vowed to deal with Kane tonight and win the title at Mania. Threatened to knock Tyson out tonight. Bullied and intimidated the announcers for a bit. I realized it was Steve Austin and he was the bad guy people like, but I don't think people remember what an asshole he was. He was a total dick to Jim Ross and Kevin Kelly.
Why is it that Shawn Michaels cuts a great promo, Triple H cuts a competent promo, and then follows it up with a dick joke?
Because Triple H doesn't really cut a competent promo. Triple H, listen, I'm not going to bury Triple H's promo skills today because fuck did he ever save that Seth Rollins promo on Monday. He saved the day. That thing was sinking like the Titanic. But back then, Hunter didn't get it that there's a time for ha-ha and there's a time for let's try to draw some money for a big show. Shawn at least could figure it out. When there was nothing happening, Shawn would talk about his cock. But when it was time to promote the main event of WrestleMania, he was serious. Hunter was always talking about his cock.
It was his gimmick until Val Venis showed up. Let's see. Shane McMahon arrived with Mike Tyson in a limo. The New Age Outlaws came out for a promo in street clothes and neck braces. They said they were pressing charges for attempted murder.
First-degree murder charges. I mean,
Are
quite
they alive?
frankly, well, I mean, the murder part is going to be tough to prove, but the reality
I'll
is
take this case.
This was first-degree attempted murder.
That's true.
It was
They attacked the man
premeditated.
with a chainsaw.
A chainsaw was utilized.
Yeah.
They did try to cut the men in half.
They set a trap.
Yep.
It was a deliberate, premeditated attempt to take 2 lives.
But unfortunately, what Road Dogg and Billy have forgotten is that they fought off the 2 men single-handedly with their fists and their feet.
Yes.
The thing that was funny about this is they showed Road Dogg's footage of what he was filming.
Yeah.
Don't they have TV?
Did you watch the show you weren't here last week? When they showed
I was here.
Okay, you were? That's
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
He was here 2
I'm
weeks
all
ago, too. You weren't here, you fucker.
You missed a show within the past month.
No, you did.
I know I did. Didn't he miss a show too?
No. Craig, you're so memorable.
Yeah,
that
no,
Vinny
I know.
can't.
No, there was the Rumble. He was here for the Rumble show, so he missed the Tuesday show that
Yeah,
week.
he
Now, it
was
was a
correct.
month ago, not a week
I was
ago.
going to say the fucking Royal Rumble was 5 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh.
Point being, there's a difference between the 2 shots they showed. They had the TV camera that they showed last week, but Road Dogg's amateur footage was better than the WWF's production crew because Road Dogg was the one who showed, oh, hey, look, there's a dumpster there blocking our car from driving away, which is why they didn't just drive away from the chainsaw and the baseball bat.
But they ended up driving away from the chainsaw.
Well, they went
and the baseball.
forward.
Yeah, they went the other way.
I see. With the broken window where you can't see.
That was on the passenger side. Anyway. So they said they had a doctor's note saying they could not wrestle tonight. Sergeant Slaughter appeared on the big screen. It says, Road Dogg, Billy Badass, you're going to defend your titles right now.
God, they opened themselves up to a lawsuit right there. Man, that's why Sarge is still getting a paycheck all these years later.
I guess so.
Got to pay this guy off for all these bad decisions he made.
So it was the Outlaws against the DOA. It went a minute. There was a dumpster at ringside, and when one of the Harrises got whipped into it, the lid popped up, out comes Jack and Charlie, and the Outlaws flee through the crowd for a count-out loss.
Fucking 1 minute and we had this finish. Can you imagine? Like, they're trying to lose. It's astonishing to me.
By the third
then-
match on this show, I totally agree with you.
Listen, I don't give a shit about the DOA. If I never see him on TV again, I'm totally fine with that. But, I mean, they got fucked. right?
Sure.
Shouldn't they be mad?
They should be mad at Jack and Charlie.
They just stood at ringside with their hands on their hips like, shucks. Fucking title shot down the tubes because of these shitheads coming out of this dumpster.
Well, one was yielding a chainsaw.
Stupid. By the way, I got some stats here. This is from The Observer. This blows my fucking mind. I can't even believe what I'm reading right here. This is these two shows we just watched. The combined rating set an all-time record, with Nitro getting its second highest rating in history in a competitive situation, a 4.81 and a 7.42 share. What is a share? Well, of all of the televisions turned on in this country, 7.4% were watching Nitro. What the fuck? Raw also got its second highest rating in a competitive situation, a 3.8 and a 5.8 share. So, like 14% of the TVs in this country were watching wrestling. Yeah. They were turned on. Combined rating for the head-to-head 2 hours was 8.6, 6.2 million homes. Some other details here, but can you imagine? What is going on? Why were people watching this?
I don't know. Now, further evidence for why I don't know people were watching this. Mark Merrow versus Tom Brady was on TV.
Is this ever going to end?
What?
Well,
I thought it had.
No.
Oh, we just took another turn in this match.
It did?
Well, with Mark Merrow.
I thought they had another crappy match.
Well, there is.
They did have another very, very crappy match.
So,
and this was a Vince Russo classic, a spectacular.
So Luna comes out.
Who's feuding with Sable.
Luna
who
hates
is Merrow's wife.
Sable, who's married to... actually, let's go back a bit. Merrow comes out with Sable, of course. And he stops on the ramp and orders her to the back. Because he doesn't like her getting the cheers.
Well, no. Here's my theory. He brings her out with him because it guarantees that he will be cheered. But he knows that if he leaves her out there, they'll start chanting for her, so he's got to send her to the back. He's using her as a pop machine for his entrance.
That's not the way it's being told, though.
It doesn't matter. That's my theory.
Well, that does answer my next question of if he doesn't want her ringside, why is he even bothering to fly her around the country? It seems like a waste of money to me.
Well, it's his wife, and he's clearly jealous, so he ain't leaving her at home.
All right. The fact we have to think about this, bad storytelling.
That's the least of our problems. Talk about Luna. That's the fucking bad storytelling.
Luna comes out, trips Brandy, and slaps him right in front of the ref. Ref is fine with that, but he turns his back so Merrow can hit a low blow and a TKO for the win. So Luna tries to celebrate with Merrow. He is confused. She kisses him. He does not enjoy it. It was a trap. Goldust jumps in from behind. They double team Merrow.
So just to pause for a moment.
Yeah.
There had to be a trap for Goldust to run in and attack Merrow. Why didn't he just run in and attack Merrow?
I don't know.
Why did Luna have to kiss Mark Merrow? What the fuck did that have to do with anything?
I don't know.
Except the announcers were confused. We're supposed to be confused. It's just supposed to be shocking and a swerve.
Luna and Goldust are wacky and weird, and this was their plan.
It's stupid.
Agreed.
There's more. It gets stupider. So Goldust and Luna are beating up Merrow. Sable hits the ring and attacks Luna. Merrow yells at her for not staying in the back. She shoves him down. She leaves. He calls her back. She comes back. He runs away. Was all of this really necessary?
Well, we want to make sure when I write my new book that we can pinpoint the end of Mark Merrow's career. It was here tonight when he took a bump for his non-wrestler wife and then ran away from her.
Not the first one.
She had no weapon.
No.
She just scared him away.
Yeah.
He ran for his life.
Of
course, the whole segment was stupid.
There need to be 17 things in every segment.
No, but that's what Russo wrote shit like this.
You think Brock Lesnar cowers at his wife?
Gonna guess no.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Owen Hart versus Mark Henry.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with cowering to your wife. There's nothing wrong with backing down from your wife. His non-wrestler wife shoved him and he fucking fell down. He fell down!
I was there. I was there. I saw it. Yes.
What the fuck?
Anyway, Owen Hart versus Mark Henry. Sergeant Slaughter comes out, bans the nation from ringside for no reason.
No reason. They always interfere. There's a goddamn good reason for once in our lives.
In that case, what took so long?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay, so 1 minute in, China comes out.
Hold on. We got to go back even further. I shouldn't say that. God bless Owen Hart. The worst babyface.
He's not very good.
The first thing he does is jump the guy from behind.
Yes.
And once again, I'm watching the match, and it took me a while to figure out, hey, wait a second, Owen's the babyface. I could have sworn he was a heel because he came out there looking all surly, and then he jumped the big guy from behind and started putting the boots to him. But no, he's a babyface.
So, literally a minute in, China came out. To this point in the show, there had been less than 5 minutes of wrestling and 3 run-ins. If you count the dumpster, guys jumping out of the dumpster, Luna coming out, and now China coming out.
Mark Henry's learned one move, the jumping elbow,
Yes.
which he did about 10 times in this match.
Yeah. After many tries, Owen got him in the sharpshooter. About 10 seconds passed. Owen released it to confront China, who had done nothing.
What an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, she's just standing there.
Was she supposed to jump in the apron and forgot?
You've got the guy in the sharpshooter. He ain't crawling to the ropes. He's clearly trapped. I mean, his goose is cooked. This fucking woman jumps up on the apron and you just let the guy go. Oh, I'll release the hold to jaw jack with China.
He goes up top. China shoves him off into a bear hug. They tease that Owen's arm would drop 3 times, but China hit Henry with a low blow for the blatant DQ.
Yeah. China prevented Henry from submitting by distracting Owen, and then later she just went in and gave Henry a low blow.
And by the way, in doing so, as Henry and Owen are standing face to face, China gives him the low blow, but I'm pretty sure she got Owen on the upswing.
The follow-through.
Yes.
All I know is this was so unbelievably stupid. Yeah. Once again, the announcers have no idea what's going on. They can't figure out why this is happening. They send over Cole to say, what the hell did you do this for, China? And her response is, because I can. I was like, you know what I can do with my fucking clicker? Turn the channel, because this sucks.
Vince and Tyson at a chat backstage.
A stupid show.
Headbangers and Taka Michinoku versus the Rock and Roll Express and Barry Windham.
Dude.
This clusterfuck.
Oh my God.
Listen.
I couldn't even believe this.
So, this only went 60 seconds. All 6 dudes brawled everywhere. When they were focusing on some of the outside action, the bell rang, and we were told the Headbangers won.
They not only... Listen, it's one thing to miss the finish. Sometimes a guy goes for a cover, and they cut away, and you miss the 3 count.
Yes.
They missed the finish.
Yeah.
They missed the setup for the finish.
I have the whole list of what they missed. I wrote it down in great detail. It's not like a guy hit a finish and was starting to go down and they cut away. Here's everything they missed. Thrasher hit an O'Connor roll. He pushed the man into the ropes, rolled him backwards, and rolled through on top. But he let go of this hold to attack James E. Cornette, who had hit the ring and attempted to attack him with his tennis racket. He punched Jim Cornette. The racket flew high into the air. Thrasher caught the racket. He turned around. He hit Ricky Morton with the racket. He turned around again, threw the racket out of the ring. Then he made a cover. The ref counted 3. None of this was shown live. They missed everything.
This is mind-blowing. Like, I couldn't even believe it.
It's like they were trying to get Taka's dive and forgot to finish.
No, Craig.
No.
You're right, but they got the dive. The dive was at the O'Connor roll part.
Yeah.
Right.
How much happened after the O'Connor roll?
15 seconds worth of stuff?
The fuck was happening on this show?
I don't know.
It dawned on me that the Headbangers and the Rock and Roll Express are feuding just because one of them headbangs and the other one's rock and roll.
They cut a promo
Dude,
about
that's better than 90% of the stuff on this show. I can buy that. I can buy that the rock and rollers don't like the headbangers and vice versa. Great. At least that's something that's believable.
We like different kinds of music.
The Classicals
Fine.
were not, whether they were busy.
Do what now?
They have a tag team called the Classicals and they were busy.
That'd be awesome, actually. Come out and play the cello and get mad and people boo. Dude, we gotta get back in wrestling. Vince came out for a promo, brought out Tyson.
Oh, man. Tyson comes out. He's got a hat. Got sunglasses. He's just dressed up.
Sometimes you impress easy.
The whole point is it's a total heel getup.
I see.
I mean, everything he's wearing, like the moment he comes
Villains
out,
wear hats, everyone.
he's wearing this goddamn hat and sunglasses, and he's got his posse, and it's like the fans immediately booed this guy. It was an
hats.
immediate heel turn.
He's also Mike Tyson.
I'm not, dude. Get out of here. This was by design.
So anyway, Tyson comes out.
I promise this was by design.
Vince hypes up Mania. He starts to ask a question. But before Tyson can even answer, out comes DX.
Well, first, all the fans were booing Tyson. And Vince, who is clearly, I mean, he's a heel. He was trying to be a babyface after Montreal. Now he's clearly given up because the fans boo, and Vince McMahon tells the fans in attendance, have a little respect, please.
Yes.
Has that ever worked? Of course not. He's a heel.
So DX comes out, and every ref in the world tries to stop them, but they just muscle their way on through. Shawn gets in the ring, gets face-to-face with Tyson. He says, I am not here to disrespect you like Steve Austin did, because that's not how DX rolls, or whatever he said, which made me laugh. They're very respectful degenerates. He says, we're here to call you out face-to-face and challenge you to a fight. Tyson accepts, and they start to get their people out of the ring.
So, to recap, okay, everybody, Tyson's in the ring with a crew. Shawn Michaels comes out, and they send out people to prevent them from fighting. But then they decide they want to fight, and so all those people leave.
Yeah, including Vince. That's the best part. Vince just casually steps aside.
So apparently, like, as long as both sides agree to get in an out-of-control fight, that's okay.
Yeah.
So preposterous.
Of course it is.
We gotta keep them apart. Oh, there's a challenge. Get the fuck out of the ring, everybody.
Yes.
Let's let him go.
So they're going nose to nose. Shawn and Tyson are, and they're jaw jacking, and Tyson's daring to throw a punch, and Shawn's rearing back and looking at the fans, and Shawn grabs Tyson by the collar, and he's looking around at the fans, and then suddenly he stops and he tears the shirt apart, and Mike Tyson has a DX t-shirt underneath. And they hit the music, and Hunter and Chyna hit the ring, and they all have a giant party.
Okay, I made fun of all of the crews and how preposterous it was, but this was awesome. This was great. Sometimes you see these stupid angles where somebody joins the other team, but of course they have to have a full match first, and they beat the shit out of each other, and then it's a swerve at the end.
Yes.
They didn't do that. These guys have been in cahoots the whole time. There was nothing about this where you had to suspend your disbelief. Austin came out. Shawn Michaels came out. They promised earlier in the show what was going to happen. They came out. They did exactly what they said. They made him an offer. He accepted it. He had his DX shirt on. Mike Tyson, a fucking degenerate. I mean, it makes perfect sense. And now, Steve Austin. The odds stacked against him.
Oh, absolutely.
And Vince is on the ramp, and he's all disappointed. His main event. God damn it.
His perfect, his enforcer, his handpicked enforcer is now corrupt. His main event's been spoiled.
And boy, DX, they celebrated like this was the greatest thing they'd ever done. Mike Tyson celebrated like this was the greatest thing that ever happened to him in his career. Fans went nuts for it. It was awesome. It's by far the best thing on the show. Best thing on both shows all night.
The Mike Tyson with the crotch chop. It was like a kid with a new toy.
Allow me to correct you. Jerry Lawler later described it as the big X thing with his hands.
I see.
Apparently they didn't have a name for it yet. It was just that big X thing with his hands.
I see.
No, our thing is you point to your penis. I love it.
Of course he loved it.
So the celebration was still going on backstage after the break. And then we got a match.
This match.
This was an MMA battle.
Dude, first off, Blackman's in the ring and the Nation's out there and Sarge is kicking everybody out and I'm looking at all of them and it's like, well, it's not The Rock. He's got some fucking shirt on. And it ain't Farouk. It's got to be like Savio. Nope. Match starts. It's Steve Blackman and Kama.
Yeah. Supreme Fighting Machine.
The punctuation.
It was boring as all hell.
Yes.
Blackman hits his move, and the Nation runs in for the DQ.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Sarge banned it from ringside.
You can't have a finish
and Steve
in
Blackman
this match.
for scum.
Like, can we have a finish in any match? Just one,
I'm not
please.
sure. I
That's all I
think
ask.
Mark Miro was the only one to get a pin on this show.
Kama is way too important to be pinned, Brian.
So yes, the Nation got banned from ringside and then just ran out and attacked anyway, so way to go, Sarge. Only other thing of note is that Steve Blackman's entrance video just says, Steve Blackman, martial artist.
Hey, it's fine with me, dude.
It's a generic graphic for a generic man.
It is.
And by the way, did you see the thread? This guy's been in
Yes.
the business for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I buy it. He's competent. He's not Mark Henry. Mark Henry in the show has not been in the business for 10 years. Okay. This next segment blew my mind in every negative way. What?
Well, hold on. Please do not say anything negative about Colonel Rob Parker. Okay, the rest of this is absolute pure dog shit. It totally sucked. They can fuck off. But Colonel Rob Parker was involved. So I
Well, let's talk about
I
Colonel
still
Rob
hated
Parker.
it.
Let's talk about Colonel Rob Parker. Last time we saw this man, he was feuding with Sherry in WCW in a marriage that seemed to never end. And he just vanished one day. Now he's in this ring. No introduction, no graphics, no music, just a tall guy with a loud voice. And he introduces... And by the way, you know how we talk about this and there's things we remember in vivid detail and things we have blocked out from my mind? Zero memory of this ever happening.
yeah, I have no memory of this.
Double J 2.0, I did not remember.
Don't think it lasted very long.
God, I hope not. So he says, I'm here to introduce the best wrestler, singer, entertainer of all time, Double J Jeff Jarrett.
Yep.
And out comes Double J Jeff Jarrett in his blinking hat. The same stupid gimmick that failed 4 years, 3 years before this, 3 or 4 years before this.
Dude,
The
not
same-
even that.
The same gimmick, he went to the other show and buried, then came back to this show and also buried.
Yep. They spent all that time airing videos of him talking about how stupid it was, how stupid the company was, and now here he is.
I'm pretty sure this goes a while. I remember vividly him coming out with the blinking hat, riding a horse at one point.
Dude, that was the first time.
Please let it be the first time.
I'm almost positive it was the first
I
time.
can't take months of Double J.
I'm almost positive. It's a couple months at the most.
So...
And then Jared does a goddamn promo. His stupid music's playing
Yes.
as he does his promo, which made it even worse because it's the worst song. Stupid music's playing, and now not only is he JEFF JARRETT,
Haha.
haha. Well, his new manager is TENNESSEELEE.
Haha.
Haha.
Yeah.
Fuck off,
Gonna be
you
this
fuckers.
every promo. So I'm watching this awfulness and thinking, what a weird career Jeff Jarrett had. Has anyone lasted so long and been so successful doing so much garbage?
Dude, a lot of guys.
All right.
Now,
Probably, if I thought about it.
the best thing about this was, in fact, Tennessee Lee, Colonel Rob Parker. After Jared's speech, he just grabs the mic and says, "Stick with me," and blah, 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 blah. I don't even know what he said. The announcers didn't know what
What
he
an
said.
endorsement.
Jared didn't know what he said. Jim Ross didn't know what he said. Nobody knew what he said. But it didn't matter because he's Tennessee Lee. He just said shit.
So it was Jeff Jarrett versus Flash Funk. They wrestled a few minutes. Funk went up top. Lee shoved him down. Jarrett won with a figure 4. At least he won. I guess I should be happy about that.
We should be happy he won, but Tennessee Lee interfered. We couldn't have a clean finish. Jeff Jarrett can't even beat Flash Funk.
No.
The fucking best part of this, besides...
Short list.
Well, it is Colonel Rob Parker. He was the only good thing in this whole match. Fucking Flash Funk goes up to the top rope, and he's going to do his big move, and the ref is distracted. I don't even know how. Like, Jeff Jarrett's dead in the ring, and the other guy's going up top. Somehow the ref gets distracted. Colonel Parker splits the legs of Flash Funk.
Well, if you read Foley's book,
Dude, Parker.
is that right?
It's quite a battle here.
Both of them, actually, yeah.
Yeah,
So they
right.
were both mentioned.
What an arm wrestling match this would have
The
been.
Tennessee Stud and...
Point of
here
this
we said
is...
about Flash.
He splits a dude's legs, and Flash Funk crotches the rope and falls into the ring and is a dead body. He doesn't sell his balls or his schlong. He sold like he'd been shot. He just laid there stiff as a board. The other guy goes over, covers him. Like he'd been, I think he had a heart attack. I have no other way to describe the way he sold getting crotched on the top rope. Hideous.
For some people, it's a major injury, and for some, it's minor.
So we were told there was a major celebrity who's going to be at Mania. And they go to a dark room where there is a woman talking about love and passion and romance. And I'm thinking, what the hell is this? And she leans into the light, and I still think, who in the hell is this? It is a woman named Jennifer Flowers. You'll have to Google her.
I'll tell you all
I'm
about
not getting
her.
into it.
Well, it's quite simple. The Monica Lewinsky thing had just happened.
Yeah.
And so I guess they figured, well, let's find another girl that Bill Clinton's fucked and put her on WrestleMania. That'll sell some seats.
He did not sleep with that intern, Brian.
She wasn't an intern.
This wasn't an intern.
And this was a long affair.
I'm pretty sure this was never denied, yeah. It is ancient history.
Christmas.
And I don't care, so I don't know.
Right.
Dude, it's not even ancient history, dude. Who could have possibly cared in 1998?
I don't know.
It was big news.
Let me think of what big news is taking place right now.
Oscars.
Yeah, let's fucking bring Warren Beatty.
Beatty.
Let's bring this fucking guy to WrestleMania because goddamn, that's gonna sell some tickets.
So insecure sometimes.
I don't give a shit.
Cole tried to interview Tyson and DX backstage. They explained this. He was with them because he liked to hang out with winners. They put him in a limo, sent him on his way, said they had work to do. Got a Legion of Doom video package asking if we would ever see them as a team again.
Hope not.
They
I
promised.
hope we don't see anybody on this show again.
They promised to keep us updated. On what? On the phone calls they're not having? Kane came back out.
So listen, I knew that we weren't gonna get a Steve Austin match, but I was gobsmacked when Kane came out for the main event with Steve Austin with 20 minutes left on the show. I was like, how do you not have a match and go 20 minutes? Well, they found a way. They stalled their asses off for 20 minutes. That's damn near killed me.
Kane comes out. Bearer starts to talk. Austin comes out. DX jumps Austin, lays him out with a super kick. How was that? They go to commercial. They replay this several times. They say DX has left the building. Austin's looking for them, but they're gone. So now Paul Bearer's got time to kill. He begins to cut a promo. He says, Kane, go get the ring bell. So Kane goes to get the ring bell, but he stops and attacks a random fan.
God.
Grabs the guy out of the front row, choke slams him to the ground, and then...
Nobody bought this.
No, because it's got to be believable. He began to attack him on the floor as they cut to a wide shot.
And then attacks a child.
They said that. I think it was just the guy who was beating up was short.
One way or the other, like this is so stupid.
Well, it gets stupider.
That's
Kane-
impossible.
Well, here's why. Kane brings the ring bell and the timekeeper into the ring. Paul Bearer declares, we should have done this months ago, or weeks ago, 5 weeks ago exactly. It's time to do a 10-bell salute in memory of the Undertaker. So they do a 10-bell salute. And Bearer says, Kane, kill this timekeeper. So Kane chokeslams the timekeeper and tombstones the timekeeper. And this may have been a shocking development, but 2 minutes ago, I watched him beat up a fan. Forget about the believability part of it. Even if you accept that it's real and that he has attacked a fan, which was their intent, I guess, why would I then care about him beating up the timekeeper? You've started up here and then gone down here.
You know, I thought your comment would be that it's been 2 minutes. Where the fuck is security if this guy just came out here and beat up a fan and a child?
Well, there's also that. So then Bearer says Kane's got one more tombstone left. Is it for you, Queenie? He called Lawler. Is it for you, Jim Ross? Daring someone to come fight and get chokeslammed. And then Undertaker's gong sounded. The lights went out. And a purple light hit the ring.
5 minutes of donging.
Yeah. Bearer assured Kane he's gone. Don't worry. Seriously, it was minute after minute of these two dudes standing there in a purple light with just Undertaker's dong sounding over and over again.
And it got longer in between each dong.
Yeah. I don't know how to follow that up. So,
I'll follow it up with this. The Undertaker comes out, okay? Let's think of all of the terrible things that Kane has done to The Undertaker. Undertaker comes out in his fucking promo.
Stop. Don't gloss over how he came out.
Oh, I should not gloss over that.
The announcers are pointing and looking. After like 5 minutes, Kane and Paul Bearer are pointing and looking. We can't see anything. They cut to the stage. For about a quarter of a second, we see there is a casket on the stage. Then the casket is hit by lightning. A lightning bolt hits the casket.
From inside the building.
Mm-hmm. It collapses, and now Undertaker is lying there on some kind of platform. He does the zombie sit-up, and he begins to speak, and he has no microphone, but somehow his voice is broadcasting over the arena.
Yeah, they've hooked him up with a lavalier mic, or whatever you call it. It's hooked to his body. The very first thing this guy says is, Kane, you've disappointed me. It's like, man, fighting words there. His brother, he's disappointed in his brother.
Like a father and a son.
God damn, where is my fucking button to buy this pay-per-view? Undertaker's disappointed in Kane. There's clearly going to be a tongue lashing coming here. He's going to take him out behind the woodshed, WrestleMania. Listen, I'm the only guy that didn't like this, clearly, because the fans loved it.
Fans went apeshit.
Fans went crazy for it. They thought it was awesome. More power to them.
It was.
I'm an old man. I'm all bitter because the rest of this show sucked.
It was, of all the hokey, silly, corny promos The Undertaker's ever cut, maybe the hokiest, silliest, corniest of them all. As he's talking about soothing his parents' souls and walking through fire and sending Kane to hell. But the crowd ate it up. Absolutely went nuts for this. And eventually, well, I forget what his last line was, but he said, I'm going to kick your ass at WrestleMania. And they all looked at each other, and Bear was holding Kane back, and the show ended. But yes, this was... I know Brian didn't like it. I'm not going to say I liked it, but it was a huge success.
This is the stuff at this time when I was watching it back then that drove me crazy, because just weeks earlier we had this little bit of realism where Cornette was cutting promos on Vince Russo and cutting, or not Vince Russo, on WCW and also Phil Mushnick, and there was a little bit of realism to it, and then the cartoon started at the end of the show.
It was a cartoon. So